Well, hello, welcome to Gabbing and Games for Friday, June 21st. It is I, Papa Jaffe, coming at you live from the International Space Station. Well, that's not true. It's San Diego, but the point is, welcome to the show. That was the brand new song by one of my favorite new bands, Lawrence the Band, called What You Want. And yes, if you're listening after the fact, I'll be deleting it so I don't have my channel get hit with a copyright strike. With that said, though, it's a good song. Their stuff is very 80s and a little bit of Ariana Grande mixed in with some Joe Cocker. If you know those references, you're a class act, my friend. Welcome to the show. Who do we got right now? Let's see. We got, well, first let's get some chats going. Travis, thank you, buddy. You know we appreciate it. He says, thanks for all the content you provided over the last few years for me. Thank you so much. Thank you, buddy, for being part of our community. I hope things are going well for you, and I hope that lass that you had your eye on back in the day, she's either come around to the brilliant man you are, or you've moved on to greener pastures. But thank you, buddy. Daniel says, have I gone to Antarctica yet? You may have me confused with Sam from the wonderful but unappreciated underwatched show Atypical on Netflix. I'll tell you what, that's not only a deep cut, that's a cut of like, what the fuck are you talking about, Jaffe? I don't know what you're talking about, Daniel. Antarctica. That was a plan. That was something I was going to do. I look, I've had a lot of desires to go places. Well, that's not true. I hate traveling, but I have no interest in traveling at all for the most part, but certainly not going to the Antarctica. Dan, you're going to smoke for this? Very nice. Very, very, very nice. Okay. Silverback says, I'm just high enough. I might call in. Look, if you're over in the YouTube and you're watching, it's pinned to the top. If you're not, this is how you get onto the show. I'll bring people in at various times. We got, there's Kirkland Gray down there at the bottom. I'll bring you on in a few minutes, buddy. I don't know. I'll tell you what, Kirk, when I get to a subject you think you got something fun to say about, just chime in. I'll bring you on. CR3, oh my God, I can't do this. You guys, some of you guys in the Discord or in the community are like little children. He says, I'd like Jaffe to explain to me why I'm so special and why I'm the only member who's been banned twice in less than 2 months, all because of the mods don't like me. I don't pay them, Jaffe, I pay you. I don't care. I've made that clear. I don't know why you were banned. If there's a mod watching right now, hit me up and let me know what CR3D did to merit a ban. It's not the drama in my life. I recommend it not be the drama in your life. And I'm going to tell you something right now, CR3D. You're a good fella. You know I like you. But I know people like you, and I'm not being condescending. We've all got our bag of hammers, man. We all got the shit we're trying to deal with. Yours is no worse or better than anybody else's, but god damn, you take things to heart, and you're very sensitive. And I get it, and that's probably a good part of what makes you an artist, that you love being an artist and expressing yourself. Never get rid of it, but fuck, man, learn to kind of control that shit a little bit. It's not always about you. I'm not thinking about you. I didn't even know you were banned. So you got banned. Big fucking deal. You're back. I'll talk to the mods. We'll see what you did. If you did something crazy, you earned the ban. If not, you didn't. We'll figure it out. How many more fucking times do I got to see a post about it? And yeah, you pay me. You're a member, and we love that you're a member. But look, if it's not the place for you, don't be a member anymore. Jesus fucking Christ. See, Lou, though, steps up to the plate. He says, Jaffe, I got no problems, Jaffe. See, Lou's been a member for 27 months. Thank you, buddy. You know we appreciate that very, very much. We appreciate you being part of our little crew. And we appreciate you just being here and hanging out with us. Thanks, pal. Okay. Antarctica means has no bears. Arctic means has bears. Okay, but is that a suggestion? Like, I don't understand. Why would I still go to Antarctica? I don't understand. Well, let's see. This is my nephew, Daniel. Daniel says, you got tired up quickly tonight. I think you mean I got fired up quickly? I mean, you know, the Dan Man Crawford down there in the Bama, I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes it's just like, look, I get it. People are sensitive, and that's not a bad thing. But sometimes it's just like, fuck me sideways on a Tuesday. Am I right, boys? Okay, so I got a tweet. We're gonna get to games, I promise. But I got a tweet from one of the mods. I banned CR3D last night. He was making some not funny remarks about your friends on stream last night, and I don't know what he's talking about. But this is Rob. He's a very even-keeled fellow, and I'll ask him what the specifics were. Again, I don't think Rob is going. He has a comedian level or a humor level that you didn't pass the bar, so you were making comments that weren't funny. And it's like, no, you got to be at a level of at least a C-level Netflix comedian. I don't think that's what he means. I think he means it was offensive. And I'll talk to him about it. And if it was, don't be a dick. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Okay, my favorite Kesha song, Richard Joseph wants to know. My favorite Kesha song. It's certainly not TikTok. It's probably, Timber is really good that she does with, what is it, Pitbull? And she's got some other ones, I think, on her second album that when I hear them again, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I love that song, but I forget kind of what they were called. But I mean, if you're really interested, I'll look into it. Okay. Fellas, welcome to the show. How's everybody doing? We got the weekend coming up. You know what? It's weird, man. I was in I've been in a sports mode lately, even though I'm not a big sports guy, I think it's because I was on Colin's show a while back and he recommended me this ESPN documentary series called, I think it's like 30 for 30, which is about 30 different filmmakers making 30-minute documentaries about just interesting sports stuff. But it's not like necessarily the obvious. It's just like, hey, here's something weird that happened in the 90s. Hey, look, Tim Burton's going to make a 30-minute documentary about it, right? So I've been starting to watch those. And I guess I've been in a sporting mood, so I'm like, I want to watch some sports. So while I'm prepping the show today, I'm looking at the softball world champion series going on. So I'm gonna be watching that. It was only game 1 or 2, so I'm gonna be looking at that. But I'm also gonna be. I think I'm gonna watch that. There's that bike movie. Everybody's talking about that bike movie with who is it? Is it the Mad Max guy? Maybe. That came out in theaters this week that people say is really fucking good. I don't know what it's called, but like biker gangs and shit. That's supposed to be pretty fucking good. Chain Whippin says the Bo Jackson 30 for 30 doc is legendary. Oh, speaking of Bo Jackson, who played in Birmingham or played for Auburn, I think don't say Daniel's going to start. Daniel Gonzalez, don't say Jaffe's going to start watching WNBA. I already watched WNBA, and I'm there like most people, at least coming to it late for Caitlin Clark. Oh, shut up, Tim Duncan, please. Tim Duncan says, Jaffe, this sounds like a reaction to Turtle telling you off last night about sports, please. Go back and look at the latest Sacred Symbols Plus with me and Colin, which was recorded last week, and we're talking about this shit. But anyway, my point, though, which I've forgotten now because Daniel fucking interrupted me, Gonzalez. Fuck, I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, I'm going to watch the biker movie is what I'm saying. Okay, Bike Riders is what it's called. That's right. Jaffe, I'm going to need you to postpone the stream for about 3 weeks till I can finish Shadow of the Erd Tree. You're distracting me. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit, but I'm not even playing it at this point. I have seen so many people say that it's really hard. I can't even finish. I may have somewhere between when Elden Ring came out and became my favorite video game of all time, which it remains, and today, I must have crossed some age threshold where I just don't have the interest in playing really hard stuff anymore. It just does nothing for me, and it just frustrates me. Joel says, Jaffe, I might play it. We'll see. But right now I'll show you guys what I'm going to be playing this weekend. I got a code last night, started playing. It's pretty good. Joel says, Jaffe, look, man, I just watched the documentary Bratz on Hulu. It's pretty good. Do you have a favorite Brat Pack movie? I really, really like San Elmo's Fire. The John Hughes movies I like, but they really don't hold up. They're not supposed to. They were made in the 80s, but my goodness gracious, they are incredibly racist and sexist, but they're still fun. Obviously, Ferris Bueller doesn't go down that road, but 16 Candles is pretty horrible, but it's still a fun movie. But what I'll tell you, though, is, that documentary about Bratz from Andrew McCarthy, I found depressing as fuck. Because if you don't know, this is a motion picture show documentary that really is, it's about how hard he struggled and, really just psychological damage that came to this guy because he was called the Brat Pack, and his little cohorts were called the Brat Pack, whether it's Demi Moore, Andrew McCarthy, Rob Lowe. And he goes around the country talking to the other Brat Packers about, wasn't this awful? And most of them are just like, no. But to him, this was clearly a big fucking traumatic event. And at the end, it's just so depressing because it's like, dude, get some help. And I don't mean that like I'm shaming them. And people have mental health issues they need help with all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's so cringy and it's so secondhand embarrassment because you're watching it and you're just going, dude, what you're experiencing is a very personal thing you're going through, and it's important you go through it. But come on, man, really? Oh no, they called you the Brat Pack. Oh no, people for a week thought you were. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. And then he went off and made Mannequin, which a lot of people love. I still like the movie Mannequin. Anyway, the point is, welcome to Gabbin' Games. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Tinchy says, Jaffe, yeah, I watched it. I felt cringe for the guy. Yeah. He's sitting there talking to Emilio Esteves in Emilio's mansion, and he's like, wasn't that terrible, Emilio? And Emilio's like, I don't know, man. I'm Emilio Esteves. And Rob Lowe's just like, hey, man, I'm just glad. I haven't seen you in 20 years. I'm just glad you didn't, murder me because you were, mad at me. Yeah, he's the Weekend at Bernie guy. That's a fun movie. I dug it. I don't know what to tell you about this fella. I love Elden Ring, says Mike. The DLC is very hard. I'm on the final boss. You're on the final boss? What do you... I don't understand it. The goddamn shit came out, last night? Or 2 nights ago? And you're on the final fucking... I'm as much as I am admiring your skills, I'm annoyed at you. What do you do all day? Who has the time to finish the goddamn Elden Ring DLC? And it's been out less than 48 hours. Darth Nugget says, I'm 7 hours into that game. I've done a lot of the first area. I don't find it any harder than the late game areas in the base. You can still level up. Yeah, I'm sure I'll get around to it, but I ain't playing it right now. I don't need the headache. I'm not in the mood for it. Okay. Can't keep up, old man. No, I'm okay with that though. That's totally okay. I have no problem if I can't keep up. It's I've said this just because I was fascinated by it. A guy called into the stream last week and was just talking about the value, or don't you think it's great? Bragging rights and a sense of pride if you finish games that are hard. And I'm just like, dude, there are people out there like you, but I am not one of them. I don't give a fuck. When I get bored, I move the fuck on, just like I did with your mom last night. Boom! Oh God. Hang on. Whoo! Sometimes the comedy is so strong that it kind of feels like I have gas, but I don't. Mr. Miami is in Miami. It's Mr. 305, our very own Pitbull. Mr. Worldwide, what's up, buddy?
Hey.
Last time you talked to us, you were stoned as a fucking stone. What are you doing now?
Do
you have cum in your mouth? What the fuck are you doing?
I got the DLC.
What do you think of it?
I haven't got a car. I still like a lot of stuff. It's been in my catalog.
Been in your back catalog. Okay.
Game. I haven't been rushing through it because I've been trying to do everything in Bloodborne. I still haven't finished everything in Bloodborne, so I'm like just playing. I play both games at a time, and I got games to play. So yeah.
Why did you even buy it if you're still trying to get through Bloodborne?
Because I don't know. I just wanted to have it. It was I still felt like I'm still gonna play it. So in case the I could do the DLC before the main quest,
Yeah.
I'll do it. I know I gotta beat an enemy to get to the DLC, so I'll just do that instead of just beating the main game. Just
Well, here's what I actually am probably going to do with it, because and I don't have a lot of experience with mods, like, with games and stuff, because I've just never really been that technically savvy to figure out where to put files. I know it's stupid, whatever. But anyway, I think I'm going to rebuy Elden Ring this weekend if I can make sure I know how to run the mod. And then I'm going to put a mod on it that lets me slow the speed of the game down to about 80%. And then I'll be like, okay, then I feel like I want to get back to it. But I can't play with you kids. You guys have better reflexes. It's crazy. But I do, I heard Miyazaki today in an interview, the guy who directed it, saying, we could easily make the game easier. But if we did that, obviously it would be a very, very different game. And I want people to have the sense of conquering something pretty difficult. But I know a guy who might know him, and I'm going to reach out to my Sony contact and say, look, could you just ask him a question? I don't want to do an interview with him. I don't want to, I would love to, but I'm not asking for, I want to understand his position, which is we talked about this a little bit last week. If you went to Miyazaki and said, hey, all we want you to do, if the AI was there, and it's not yet, is put in a dynamic sliding difficulty so everybody, no matter what their skill, would have the experience of, oh my God, this is so fucking hard, and I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I finally did it. If everybody could have that experience, because that level of difficulty is different for every person, would he want to do that if he could guarantee that the AI would be able to deliver that? That would be a question, and I'm going to reach out and ask the guy, because I reject his thesis that the game as is everybody's getting what he thinks they're getting. A small percentage is getting what he thinks they're getting, because the game's tuned one single way. And I know you can play it differently to get better and worse, blah, blah, blah. But what do you think about that, Mr. Miami, Mr. 305? What do you think about that if I ask him? Should that be my one question that I ask him? Or is there a better question I'm wasting by not asking?
I think the game just needs what I think the game should have is like multi-platform support, like the Xbox, PC, and PlayStation players be able to play together. Is it still where you could only play PlayStation with PlayStation player, Xbox with Xbox players, and PC with?
You mean in terms of bringing somebody in to do co-op?
Yeah, so be able to do multi-platform co-op. That's
anybody in the chat watching, let me know. I know that I can do or I can do co-op on the game. I have no idea if I'm playing with PC people or PS people. I don't know that, but it's a good question.
Yeah, that's my only criticism on the game. But
fair enough. Why are you not stoned today? The last time you called in, you were super stoned. But what's the matter? Is it no longer as effective? Is the strand really bad? I'm disappointed in you.
The strat is fire. The strat is still fire.
I don't think it's fire. I think you've become a lightweight and you're
nuclear gushers. That's
okay. Hey, I got to get some DMT, baby. I want to try that shit. You ever done the DMT?
Yeah, it's
Has it changed your life? Did it make you see things and want to know things in a way that you never did? Or it's like, nah, fuck it, Jaffe. It's just a fun time and I moved on with my goddamn life.
I can't. It's atheism. It's an impossibility after my ayahuasca experience.
So what are you now? Are you agnostic then? Because I don't imagine anything that you saw when you were under the ayahuasca would say, oh, it is Jesus or Muhammad or Yahweh. I mean, I don't imagine any of the religions have it, quote, right? Well,
I felt like there was a force of the universe that practically hugged me internally, hugged my soul. It was like this beam of light that just hugged me around, and then after that, it was just like everything else doesn't matter. Like life.
Right, I get it, but you're saying were you an atheist before you took the drug?
Yeah, I was like headed towards. I started to like question the belief in God, but practically just allowed me to not. Now it's impossible for me to
Right.
be atheist.
But the question though is because atheist is a weird term, because sometimes when I say I'm atheist, what I mean is I don't believe in any of the traditional gods that, I don't believe in Zeus. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in the Holy Spirit. I don't believe in Muhammad or whatever. But it doesn't mean I don't believe there might be some force out there. Is that what you mean when you say you're no longer atheist? Or are you like, no, Jaffe, I'm all in to the Catholic stuff, and I'm doing the wafers, and I'm doing all that stuff, and the altar boys. I don't mean you're doing the altar. I mean that happens in that religion at times a lot, but I'm saying you're doing it like, oh, haven't been to church, so I'll be an altar boy. I mean, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, for me, it's just, I felt like it's I now believe in Christianity. Like, I believe in the afterlife, in that our soul is eternal, that the Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit is a thing that the humans have. It's
okay, but wait a minute. There's a lot of religions that support that idea, and a lot of agnostics consider that may be accurate as well. What is it about Christianity that you saw on ayahuasca or DMT that made you say, out of all the religions that have come and gone, that particular one is the right one?
Well, it's the fact that practically it's the fact that it allows it's the one that I felt like it's mostly correctly descriptive. It's an energy that loves us eternally. So it's, from what I see, it's the one that I see that described more closely to what experience I had that day. It's
Got it. Okay.
An energy of light that just has always existed, and it's like the universe. It's physical law. It's kind of like an energy.
So do you think that energy would, and I know this sounds like I Love the Weird show, but
having consciousness, that's right.
Yeah, but do you think that energy would send people to hell that don't believe in it because if they haven't taken ayahuasca?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what.
I mean, he seems like if he would, he's an asshole, right? The next time you see him, let him know I think he's an asshole if I'm going to go to hell because I didn't happen to get the right drug in my system. Right? Well, right? Mr. Miami, yeah, Mr. Worldwide. Thank you, buddy, for calling. We're going to go talk video games. I appreciate it, bud.
Hold up, video games. That's not video games.
Yeah. No, I got to go. I got a show to do. Good to see you. See you next week, bud. There he goes, fellas, off into the night. By the way, you are getting an I Love the Weird. Not right now. You are getting one tomorrow. I'll talk about that in a second. First, I gotta pay off the foreplay real quick because I know I've been teasing you guys with this, and I'm sorry, but the shows just they go where they go, and you got to hang on for dear goddamn cockadoodie life. But check this shit out. Look at this. Where did it go? Here it is, right here. I asked you guys yesterday. I says, well, what is this? Right. Blah, blah, blah. Here's what it is. It's pretty cool. I haven't been to Japan in a while, but I'm going here the next time I go to Japan. Real estate developer with ties to famous game developers spearheading project south of Tokyo. It is pretty much the first permanent mainstream video game museum. It's a dedicated permanent video game art museum. They're working with Koei Tecmo. Obviously with Dynasty Warriors, Dead or Alive, Romance of the Three Kingdoms. It's a three-floor museum. And you're going to see basically lots of rotating exhibits. It's coming to life in the summer of 2027. So that's kind of what it is. I was a little bothered by the fact that it doesn't look very gamey. It looks like you could say, oh, this is a museum about, antique pipes and shit. And it's like, okay. But that said, though, once you get inside, it sounds pretty great. So that's what I was teasing. Speaking of teasing, tomorrow is I Love the Weird, 5:00. I want to let you guys know, yes, you are at a video game channel, but this channel also once a week does a show called I Love the Weird, which is all about my fascination and your probable fascination with aliens and ghosts and serial killers. I'll just give you a hint what we got lined up for tomorrow, but the show isn't totally planned yet. We'll be talking about this article from the New York Times, serial killer left behind basically a how-to manual, and we're going to go through that and what it has told the feds and the police and psychologists about what it takes to be a serial killer. We're also going to talk about this. Here's what everybody always says. Everybody always says, well, you know, Jaffe, if UFOs are real and UAPs are real, what in the goddamn cockadoodie fuck is going on with these orbs we're seeing? And why is it that people are unable to ever take a clear picture? Well, here you go. This is a pretty clear picture of an orb. And according to this document, we'll be talking about this tomorrow. It sounds very similar to what was being described to the congressional hearing last summer. So that's pretty goddamn good detail of what people are saying they're seeing up there. But we'll have to see. We're also going to talk about a scientific study where a bunch of psychologists got together, watched a lot of movies to try to figure out who is the most accurate psychopath ever put on film. And they got a top 10 list, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. It's not a weather balloon. This is not a weather balloon. First off, it's not a balloon. I didn't say it wasn't man-made. Everybody take your defense mechanisms and let them drop to the floor. No, I'm not trying to sell you on shit. I know we've all been bamboozled. We all been hoodwinked. Plymouth Rock, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. I get it. But what I'm saying is that it could be man-made. It could be man-made from the future. It could be man-made, and it's some kind of backwards reverse-engineered technology from aliens. It could just be the most brilliant physics creation that man has ever come up with, and we've been hiding it because it is so goddamn amazing how it can actually move and almost defy the laws of physics or known physics. I'm not saying it's the goddamn, E.T.'s coming to eat his Reese's Pieces. I'm saying that this is interesting. Let's have conversations. Let's have conversations. Jaffe says CF Stately, I think, or CF Staley. You were talking about 30 for 30 with Colin and Sacred Symbols Plus, how you enjoyed it. I recommend the episodes June 17th, 94, The You, and Broke. All great. Also, O.J. Simpson made... I'm going to watch the entire series, is the plan. So I will absolutely... get to those, 100%. Okay. Where's the propulsion? Right. All right, well, we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's I Love the Weird. That's coming up. The final bit of housekeeping before we get to the news. I usually don't like to push all this shit out. I like to get right to the news a lot of times, but sometimes there's just, shit piles up. So I hope you don't mind hanging out with me as I just kind of run down some of this shit with you. I just want to remind you that all of these shows are also in podcast form. You can find them on Patreon. You don't have to subscribe to the Patreon and pay money, although I hope you'd think about it. But it's free membership will get you all of our podcasts, except the ones that are obviously made just for members. And then once you sign up there, you can get it to play on all the podcast services you like. So right now we got all the Gabbing and Games up there, and we've got like 4 or 5 episodes of I Love the Weird, which we're just kind of kicking off on the regular basis. So head on over to the Patreon if you're interested. And sign up, again, for free. Don't cost you no money. Just sign up, and you'll be able to get those when they go live. Okay. And then what'll happen, frankly, is you'll be at the gym working out, and some, pretty lady or pretty fella, whatever it is that turns the crank, walks by, and they hear coming out the headphones. And they're like, is that Gabbing and Games? And you're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. You're off to the races. You're off to the races. And when I say races, I mean the fucking races. Thank you. You're off the fucking races. Okay. Listen, I did have one more thing. I'm sorry. I'm going to talk to you guys about wrestling. Shut up. I know. I'm not going to get in. It's not a wrestling podcast. Not everybody likes it. I get it. But if you like, let's put it this way. If you like Twisted Metal, Twisted Metal Black, you're going to like this story. Okay. Look, and it's going to take you 5 seconds to hear the story. The time it's taken me to make excuses, we would have been done already. So just shut up. People are like, Jaffe, we don't care. We're fine. What's the story? A lot of times you cut things off and you insult yourself before someone else has a chance to. That's how you take the sting out of it, kids. Yeah, I want to wrestle. That's right. But look, seriously, I go in and out of my interest in wrestling. There are months or there are storylines, but I'm not like one of these hardcore guys that watches it all the time. So I've been kind of away from it meaningfully for the last year. Just nothing's caught my fancy. But I'm perusing stories for the show today, and I come across this at IGN that I guess happened earlier in the week. Oh my God. Now, you guys, I don't know if you remember Bray Wyatt. He died, had a heart attack, got COVID, had a heart attack, or had a problem with his heart because of COVID. He died. But he was the guy that did the Alexa Bliss thing, the fun time, whatever it was, where he pretended he was a monster, blah, blah, blah. It was awesome. Well, now they got a group of his kind of cohorts, the Wyatt Six. There's a couple names they're going by, showed up at the last Raw. And look at these motherfuckers. I'm going back to watch this. Yeah, he did The Fiend. But look at these motherfuckers now. They appeared last night with, if you guys remember, I think, what's her name? Nikki Cross. She used to be the superhero. She crawls out of the smoke as like, I can't show it to you because WWE is notorious for killing channels that show their shit. Fine, whatever. Fuck you. She crawls out of the smoke in a wedding dress, or she's some kind of, I forget what they called her. And then they got all the other guys. It's like the shared universe of fucking creeps, man. You got, let me show you here. Here's what here she is right there, right? She's Sister Abigail crawling out of the goddamn smoke. And then if you go over and look a little bit more, you got the characters. You got Rambling Rabbit with a giant sledgehammer. You got Mercy the Buzzard, Huskus the Pig, Uncle Howdy. And I guess they're going to be wrestling in these costumes and these characters. I love this shit, man. Suddenly I am back on board. So maybe it's, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised that it's good news that Vince McMahon is gone. He was a creep. But maybe now that he's gone and Triple H is actually running the creative like he's always wanted to, full stop, perhaps now your Papa Jaffe's going to get back on. Look at that. I mean, they're going to be wrestling wearing this shit. They're going to be wrestling wearing this shit. That's the cool shit, man. Yeah, no, well, the funny thing is Darth Nugget says Bray Wyatt was the most creative and talented wrestler in the last 10 plus years, not physically, but storytelling. Yes, you're right, but that just shows how shit their storytelling is, because all of this stuff is like Halloween spirit store level of, there's nothing really imaginative about it other than we haven't really brought it this hard in wrestling. But that said, though, I'm very excited. I'm suddenly going to be much more interested in watching this shit again. So, okay, that's what's going on. I wanted to share it with you. And if anybody's watched it, I know they haven't fought yet. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see. Okay. And they apparently killed a couple wrestlers backstage. They come out from the back with all the smoke and blood and piled up bodies in the back. It looked like a fucking butcher shop of dead wrestlers. And they come out at the end, and that's how they closed off the show. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. All right. Let's talk games, boys and ladies. Resident Evil 2 remake. 14 million. 14 million copies. Resident Evil 2 remake. Current highest selling game in RE series. Here they are celebrating, as they should, by the way, because this game is the NES Bees. This is probably my favorite Resident Evil game. I think it's probably my favorite. And I started wondering why this one and why it is so beloved. Look, I didn't hate 3. A lot of you guys didn't like 3. I thought 3 was great. I loved the remake of 4. But here's what I think it is, because Resident Evil, and I don't bring it up just to kind of toss out a fun little fact that I think. I toss it out because I'm always thinking about the future of games. I'm always thinking about why certain games work and why certain games don't, blah, 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 and what the future holds. And I look at this game and I say it has, the only game that has a higher completion rate is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Over 50% of people finish this game. If you don't factor in the fact that you can play through with a different character and it's different enough, you're looking at an 8 to 12 hour adventure. And it consistently cuts the fat out and just entertains you. And I absolutely understand the business model doesn't always allow for that. But my God, if this isn't evidence to people out there making decisions that if you make a game like all the Resident Evil games that are actually single player and they're not bloated, not only will people play them and finish them, but in finishing them, people will talk about them and say they were great and say I loved it. And thus word of mouth will kick in and allow more people to buy it. I really do think there is a secret sauce in this where game companies, and I get it because you can't see it on a spreadsheet necessarily, but I think if you graph it out or chart it out and go, level of completion does play a big part in the sale of a game, because it suggests that the game is engaging enough that people want to stick with it. And I think that people that make games, for some reason, like, I mean, I talked to, God damn it, the Days Gone guys, Ross and, and what the fuck? God damn, I'm always forgetting his name. I know, I see him in my head. I see him in my fucking head. What's the guy's name? John Garvin. Jesus Christ, Jaffe, you moron. I look at Days Gone. I fucking love Days Gone. But my God, it was too fucking long. Like, who was sitting around John and going, like, I need to ask him about that, because I don't understand why you are sitting there with your design document and your maps and shit and you're going, it needs to be a little longer. Let's add an extra, 10 missions to it. I mean, I don't understand what that motivation is. And maybe the motivation is, well, it's $70. We have to do that or we'll get killed in the reviews and that'll kill us. But this game didn't get killed in the reviews. I appreciate Wayne B and you guys saying it was too short or you loved it. I loved it too. I thought it was great. I'm not knocking that game. But after about 12, 14, 15 hours, I'd seen most of all I was going to see. And it's like, why are you continuing to play it at that point? Like, there are other things to play. You're saying it was 36, 37 hours long, says Human Being. Right. I certainly wouldn't know that because I gave up halfway through. But yeah, you're saying that's the average for that game. So I'm just saying, maybe there's some lessons to be pulled out and pried out and learned for this particular game. Now, it's interesting. Chain Whippin' says for $60 it's too short. For $20 it was perfect. There is that argument, and I have a guest coming on the show next week who, and I'm not gonna spill the beans. I'm gonna let him pitch you his invention. But he's launched a website that I've played around with, and it's pretty interesting in that the way he values games and the way he plans on using the site to communicate that value and benefit gamers takes into account a lot of things that you're not going to see on something like Metacritic. And I can't wait to see what you guys think about that, because I do know there are people out there that think value is associated with cost, and you're never going to escape that for some people. And I get it. But at the same time, I don't know, man. If I can get 14 or 15, I mean, if you really want to, we've had this conversation. Everybody's had this conversation, right? If you really want to squeeze the sponge and you want to get, let's just take it by monetary value in hours. Okay, a movie ticket, if you live anywhere that's not a decent sized city, let's just conservatively, we know it's not, but let's say it's $10 and you get 2 hours. Okay, so for $70, you would have to spend, what would you get for that? So 10 hours for $50, and then 12. So you're getting, you would be getting for $70, you'd be getting about 13 hours, which is the value of a movie ticket. Why is it okay for them to charge that, but games can't? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. So, books and radio should be killing it if that was the case. Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean by radio. There's a lot of podcasts are killing it. If you're talking about books do sell. They don't, there's a level of effort you have to put into a book that's harder than most other art forms for people, which probably cuts the knees off of being able to compete. As a dad, says human being, 36 hours would take me several months. No way I'll lock myself into one single game. I would even forget the story. Yeah, no, I get it. Well, anyway, congrats to this great team for this great game. It is excellent. But I hope people learn something from this, because I'm sorry, you guys. I mean, again, nobody's right or wrong. It's all subjective. Just because I feel this way doesn't mean I'm an idiot and I think you're wrong if you don't. But I've been playing games since I was a little fucking kid, man. I've been making games, or I made games for over 20 years. I'm kind of in the weeds with this shit. And I'm going, there's a lot of repetition and fat on the bones of these fucking video games that are padded and for most people aren't that fun. And here's how we all know that. Mathematically, we look at the completion rate. And the completion rate is low. The fact that this game is one of the highest completed games of all time, and it's only 51%, should tell you something. What's chain whipping? Somebody says chain whipping has it right on the nose. He says, I'd rather pay $20 for 10 hours of RE2 than $60 for 100. Long for the sake of long is just as bad as an overpriced 6-hour campaign. Yeah, the problem, though, with a game, though, is that a lot of times you can't just charge. If all you're charging is the hour, and that's the only thing that affects the price, then you would also have to say that you'd be okay with a $20 10-hour game that doesn't look as good as Resident Evil. Because a lot of times those costs are going into things that have nothing to do with, once they spend a year figuring out the animation system or getting the models perfect or the effects or whatever, whether they do that effect 1,000 times or 5 times, 5 times is going to be more dramatic. Here's what it's like. It's like seeing the Ark open in Raiders of the Lost Ark once and go, oh my fucking God. And then maybe they can use it 1 or 2 more times, you move on. But video games are like, you like the Ark in level 2? Not a problem. You're going to see it 68 more times before we're done. Because they spent a lot of money, they're going to, they got to fucking use that shit, man. The Last of Us 2 I loved, but Bill Bones, I thought it was way too fucking long. Hell, think about this, man. If you're Naughty Dog, and maybe somebody came to these guys and told them this. I don't know why they didn't do this. I'm not saying, I haven't thought this through. This just popped into my mind. So maybe there's a very logical reason why this is a bad idea. And I'd be stunned if they had not thought of this. And I'm not going to spoil anything. Let's just say that halfway through Last of Us Part 2, you've changed characters before in the first part, but you mostly lock in and play Ellie. And then you change and play this character, Abby, of course, the second part. And then it kind of changes as well and stuff. Why didn't they just kind of end The Last of Us Part 2 on a cliffhanger and then release The Last of Us Part 3 18 months later and take 2 bites at the apple and also basically have 2 products that are better because they're not so fucking bloated? You come back to The Last of Us Part 2, Last of Us Part 2, Part 2, you know what I'm saying? And it's been a year, you're going to be ready to go. But it's too long by itself. Days Gone could have been a bigger hit. You'd be playing a sequel if the minute Deacon sits his ass down in that golf cart, a title card goes boom, to be continued. Days Gone 2 coming soon. That's what should have happened. But I think that would have worked. JJ, good to see you, buddy. He says, what do you think of limited run game showcase? Sir, I talked all about that yesterday. I appreciate that super chat, and I will refer you to, you know what's weird, JJ? Here's the deal. I was about to say I'll refer you to yesterday's chat or yesterday's show, but yesterday's show's behind a members-only paywall. And I'm like, why don't you just go there? Because God knows you've already spent enough money in super chats, which I very much appreciate. You just get yourself a membership, man. That way you can watch those if you want. Or maybe you're like, no, fuck you, Jeff. You don't tell me what to do with my fucking money. It's whores and super chats. Go fuck yourself. Okay, fair. Fair enough, JJ. The point, though, is that I did talk about it yesterday. I liked a lot of what they showed, but frankly, I'm not a physical purchaser for the most part. And I was hoping to see like some really impressive physical editions, and people were telling me they don't really announce those until the games go out and are about to be pre-order. So like I look at limited runs and I think limited run games, and I think about things like the Scott Pilgrim special edition, which was amazing. And yeah, the Clock Tower special edition's cool, but I was hoping to see what they were going to do with some of the other games they announced, but I guess that's premature. So, okay. Interesting question. Ethical. But yeah, JJ, thank you. Ethical says, Jaffe, look, man, why did we move from the 15 to 20 hour experience to the 50? Why did the market move in that direction if people aren't even finishing the games? I think you have to factor in a couple of things. You have to factor in that the PS2 and specifically PS3 era game developers like Sony were getting fucked because of Game Pass. And so what you had was, I've told this story a handful of times, but, I remember talking to a key person in the know high up at Sony, and they said God of War 3, they had a shit ton sitting in a warehouse. I said, what are you talking about? That game was awesome. People loved it. I've seen it on top 10 lists and everything of sales and game of the year. And this person said, yeah, but the problem is, for every copy we sold, there were 20 copies out there being played that we didn't make a dime off of. So part of the length issue back then and why it transitioned was certainly to go, look, we need to make sure that these people are not able to finish this in, 2 days. Or hell, the fucking guy earlier in this stream, he just bought the Elden Ring DLC. He's on the final fucking boss, right? So part of it's that, although with digital dominating, that is now no longer the case, but that was sort of what really pushed it into that realm. It's like, remember for a while, it was like, oh, you have to have multiplayer, even though games were like, why is there a multiplayer in this fucking game? And they were never very good. Sometimes they were, but mostly they were not. And then so the solve was, okay, well, let's not hurt the rating of the game by putting on a tacked on multiplayer deathmatch for, Klonoa. That they didn't do that, you know what I'm saying? And then they're like, okay, but let's make the games longer, right? I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. But I think I know that was a big part of it. Hey, look at that. JJ signs up. He's like, there you go, Jaffe. I'll be a member. So I'm saving you money, buddy. Thank you for that. Everybody welcome JJ. Tell him your favorite sexual fantasy in the chat. I think he would appreciate that, and God knows I could use some ideas. Put it in the chat. JJ, thank you, buddy, for being a member here at the Gabbin' in the Games. I don't know what member you've joined at. I'm working on that. I'm not asking you. I don't need you to tell me. I'm not trying to call you out. I'm saying I can't see it. So if you've just dropped a huge amount or a small amount, all is appreciated. And thank you very, very much, my friend. Okay. Okay. Stellar Blade, says Kevy, being 20 to 30 hours was so perfect. I played through it again. Yeah, 20, I 20 hours, that'll do it. That'll work for me. I'd actually like less, but I hear you. So if they don't, says Human, if they don't finish it, they won't sell that used copy. It's not that. It's that by the time they realize, like if you put a game down and you put it down and you won't finish it, sure, you sell it. But a lot of times what happens is you're like, I'm playing it, I'm really into it, and then life happens, another game happens. You're like, I'll get back to it. It takes 3 weeks, you get back to it. That's what most people do. Kind of like if you stop watching Netflix, it might take you X number of months before you realize, why am I still paying for this? So it's not like most users know the moment that they fall out of love with the game and they're ready to sell it back. I think that plays a part in the psychology of it for sure. Okay, let me jump to where you guys are in the chat. Okay. If it's fun and entertaining, it should be long, says Kraken. Yeah, I hear you. And there are certain games that fit that that are evergreen, and they should remain evergreen. I know I'm primarily talking about narrative-based video games that are like, maybe that's a better way of explaining it, which is, if you're going to wrap yourself in the cloak of you're the new medium for storytelling and you are the way that stories should be told and all of this stuff that sometimes is accurate and sometimes is just flowery PR bullshit, then what comes with calling yourself a great story is editing and pacing. And I think that if you really are about telling a great story that is interactive, then part of a great story is having the discipline to say, we're going to cut scenes or sections or levels or whatever that are not moving that experience along at the clip that we feel makes the most sense. Now, you could say that Garvin and Ross were sitting there going, we think this makes the most sense for Deacon's story, but my goodness, if they thought that, or if Neil Druckmann thought that with Last of Us Part 2, and I love both of those games, then I would say they were both wrong, because both those games are way longer than they need to be, in my opinion. Of course, it's my opinion. Look at this. I think we're getting a little bit of data, my friends, as to, hello, Mass Produce, as to why Arcane and Tango Gameworks shut down. Now, Booty didn't come right out and say it because he's a booty. Booties can't talk. They just do. He didn't come out. This was great. This was the article in VG 24/7. It says, Booty says, I won't get into the real nitty-gritty details on what went into the decision, says the man about to allude to the things that might have gone into the decision. What he basically said on both of these companies was, well, I'll just read you the quote, but he said, just because there was a lot of work that went into delivering Hi-Fi Rush, which was a great game and did well for us, I think the thing to be considered is that for us, it's as much forward-looking situation as much looking back. There are a lot of things that go into success of a game. What leadership do you have? What creative leadership do you have? Is the team the same team that shipped something successful previously? And we know that Mikami had left, and we also know that, at least the rumor is, and I don't even know if it's a rumor. I read somebody saying it in an interview with Mikami, but I don't know if it was an assumption. But the word on the street, my friends, is that a lot of the people that really made that studio special went with Mikami, right? And so probably what he was saying is, okay, well, wait a minute. We have this studio we own now, but the brain trust of it have gone. And now what do we really have? I mean, they did have, I believe the director of Hi-Fi Rush was there when they shut down, but maybe they were like, yeah, he's great, but without the CTO and without Mikami to reel him in and this, that, and the, I mean, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we're not privy to. So that starts to make a little sense. And with Arcane, I was trying to find the information. I mean, Harvey Smith and one other guy were the key creatives of that studio. And I don't know if Harvey Smith, I want to say it, like he's not on LinkedIn. I follow him on Twitter, but I don't know if he was there until the very last day of Arcane, or if he had already moved on to greener pastures, and we'll learn about those soon. And Harvey was no longer a sure thing for Arcane. And so maybe it was very similar with Tango Gameworks. So, excuse me. So it is worth remembering, or being aware of a lot of times, that when we see news like that like, oh, they're shutting down Tango Gameworks, and all we have is our nose pressed up against the glass, which is, it was a great game. They delivered. You said it was great, and this, that, the other. You're a bunch of assholes. There is stuff that they're not going to come out, and basically say to the folks that are still at those companies before they shut down, well, all the people that we had left were like the C team, which sounds like what Matt Booty is saying. It's like, we couldn't deliver with those guys. and ladies. And so, but you think they're really going to come out, or should they come out and say that? No. But, that's why, listen, again, that's why I provide such an important service, to put you guys on the straight and narrow and make it clear what's happening in this great world of ours. Yeah, in the chat, we've got RN4L saying, talk about Sony being sneaky with the Black Myth Wukong timed exclusive, trying to blame the Series S. My gut tells me that is your interpretation, and maybe that happened. What I understand is not that Sony ran in and paid them a bunch of money and said, don't ship on Xbox right now. My understanding is they came out and said it's delayed on Xbox, and I understand that a lot of it has to do with the fact that Phil Spencer, and I think this is right, I think the S is still a good idea. But I get it. Some of you guys are like, it's got to be the best graphics ever. Fuck the S, it holds things back. All right, whatever. But I think from a business standpoint, it's a good idea, but who the fuck knows? Nobody's buying Xboxes anyway. But I don't believe they've relaxed on that whole, he said things like, yeah, it doesn't have to be parity. When they were talking about Baldur's Gate 3, he's like, we're not going to be able to get you, I think it was the split screen or something, that we can't get you on the S, we can get you on the X. But we have to guarantee that it is going to ship on the S and the X. And my understanding is that that they need more time to get it running on the S. So unless RN4L, you have data or a news link you can send me that says, no, it was some kind of back room deal. I'd love to see that, but I haven't seen that. Machine XP says, Jaffe, there's 30 million Xbox sold. Come on now. I'm with you. In the sense that I don't know. Well, there's two things you have. Again, it's kind of like we were talking about the story about Hi-Fi Rush and the studio closing. There are things that we don't necessarily know. And in the case of the 30 million sold and all this stuff, we don't know if the reason, how do I put it? Do I think, okay, let me try this, because I don't know. This is just all speculation at this point. But was Baldur's Gate 3 launching with parity in terms of day and date with PlayStation 5 more important than sabotaging? I know don't come at me. Sabotaging the messaging of X and S have parity. I would say probably, but maybe at the time they were like, we still think we have a dog in the fight. At this point, they might look at it and say, that message means more than what we think we'll do with Black Myth, because I think Black Myth is probably going to do worse than Stellar Blade. And Stellar Blade didn't bomb by a long shot, but it wasn't some mega hit. And I'm only saying that about Black Myth, not because I don't think it looks amazing. Everything they've put out looks amazing. But then when you read the previews, and we talked about this yesterday, the game is not a Monkey King action adventure game with amazing looks and amazing combat, according to people who played it at Summer Game Fest. The game is a boss rush game, is what I understand. You go down linear halls and this, that, and the other, and linear pathways are mostly linear, and boom, there's a boss. And you do it again, and boom, there's a boss. And the bosses are different. I'm not saying it's the same thing, and I'm not saying that it's not amazingly done, but I don't think that is a recipe for commercial single-player success. That is a recipe for cult gamer, combat gamer dudes and dudettes. Just like, a lot of games have done that kind of stuff, right? So I think maybe they're looking at it and going, do we really, like in the chat right now, you're saying that mass produce a Series S is leading in sales. Not that the sales are worth writing home about, but it's leading in the sales between the two. So maybe they're like, look, if we're going to fall on that sword and, destroy the message of parity, let's do it with a title that is worth doing it. And maybe we should have done it for Baldur's Gate 3. Or maybe they're just like, yeah, we're idiots. We don't want to hurt the messaging, and this game's going to be huge. And in that, we're willing to sort of just take the hit. I don't know. I don't agree with you, Feast. You're wrong. I'm not. Okay. Well. Okay. Let's do it this way. Let's have this chat. Feast says people love Boss Rush. I don't know if he's being facetious, but let's assume he's not. Are there humans on the planet that love Boss Rush? Absolutely. Are there enough of them to make your money back on certain games that are budgeted at a certain level? Absolutely. But the majority of consumers, which is certainly what you need to sell to, or at least you want to sell to, you want to be a bigger hit than a niche kind of otaku combat fan. There's no evidence to suggest that Boss Rush games have been successful at that level. But I know people love them. I respect that. Machine X P says, no, Boss Rush killed my vibes for the game. It did for me as well. There's another game. Cuphead was the same thing. I mean, Cuphead benefited from the art style. But when I learned that Cuphead was not like just a shoot 'em up with, 8 bosses at the end of each level, but it was pretty much a boss run, I was like, oh, no. I don't want that. But I did enjoy when I played of it. But Bold Alpha says, I do enjoy Boss Rush enough to buy a game around it if Black Myth is that. Right. Absolutely. I get it. I'm not knocking it as a mode. I'm just saying, or as a core design philosophy. I'm just saying that if you're going to build your game around that design sensibility, you should probably know that that's not a mainstream experience in terms of sales. I agree, Machine. Cuphead looks so dope, and then I heard it's the hardest platformer ever. It's a platformer / shoot 'em up / boss rush game. I agree. I mean, but again, that indie games, I don't know, man. I love indie games, but a lot of times they seem obsessed with, let's make it fucking hard. Let's make it so fucking hard. It's like, okay, you want to sell copies or make it fucking hard? Okay. Ethical Human Being says Shadow of the Colossus. I guess that's a boss rush game. I think they had enough connective tissue that didn't feel boss rushy, that it didn't feel like that to me, but sure. And yeah, that was never a big fucking hit. It was a critical darling, and core fans adore it, as they should. But yeah, Cuphead's still great. Absolutely. I wonder what the completion rate is. I understand. Jason says people love that it's hard. I get it, guys. Just because you can offer up an example that someone loves it, when I say that isn't a smart business decision at that budget, it's not to say you can't identify people who do like those choices. There are people who really like Drawn to Death, believe it or not. But we're talking about when your budget exceeds a certain number, you require a lot more people to love these kinds of genres. And, that's not what tends to happen sometimes with those things. That's not what tends to happen sometimes, which I totally just contradicted with both those words. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's move forward, shall we? Make sure I'm not missing any chats real quick. Okay. Was Furry a boss rush? I don't know. I didn't play it. I mean, I played a little bit of it, but I didn't. Listen to this, by the way. Speaking of Microsoft, though, I'm going to play you a 36-second clip. I was talking to, who was I talking? I was talking on Jez Corden's show. And Jez Corden told me, we were talking about Game Pass and Call of Duty and all this stuff. And he said, I wasn't surprised, but I was like, oh, really? It was like, I guess I was a little surprised, but more just like, fuck, that sucks. He says he got into an Uber the other day, and he was talking about Call of Duty being on Game Pass. I guess his driver's a Call of Duty fan. And the driver's like, what's Game Pass, right? This is what the guys at VGC, one of my favorite like mainstream news sites, were saying. It's a 30-second clip. I'll play it, then we'll talk about it on the other side. Here you go. Let's see. Here you go. This is from their podcast, but they clipped this and tweeted this out.
Duty is on Game Pass is meaningless because people
don't know what Game Pass is.
What is that the name of your online store? Like, is that?
Well, you've got PlayStation owners who are subscribed to PlayStation Plus for multiplayer. So as far as they're aware, Game Pass is probably just the Xbox equivalent of that. Now they don't know that it's actually a subscription service. So there's an education process needed, pretty much.
Also, I think that Xboxes that are sold in October, November, and December should come with 3 months of Game Pass, so they can say if you buy an Xbox, you get COD for free. Even just going Call of Duty is on Game Pass.
Right, I think that's a great idea, by the way. I hadn't thought of that, and I hope they're prepared to do that. They may not be, but there's nothing wise or unique or novel about saying that Game Pass is poorly marketed to the point that it's to the detriment of Microsoft. And I don't. Bold Alpha Wolf says they do that now. Do they? You're telling me if I go to what Target.com and I put in Xbox, it'll say buy an Xbox and get 3 free months of Game Pass? Target Xbox. Let's see. Series X. Let's see. I don't. If Maskis says the bundle sounds say Call of Duty and Game Pass. All right. Well, let's see. I mean, that's not what it's saying when I go to Target. Are you saying they're announcing that in the future, or that's going to be what is coming, which I think would be great. Machine says marketing around Game Pass has been a complete failure. That's why it bothers me when folks claim Game Pass will never grow. So much around Game Pass has been a complete failure. That has nothing to do necessarily with what they say Game Pass is going to be. It frustrates me because it's getting a fair trial, and that Microsoft only has themselves to blame, but it's not getting a fair trial as it relates to people experiencing it as promised. A lot of people don't even know it exists. But yeah, I think this is a great point, and I think it's a great idea for Christmas to say, hey, buy it, get Call of Duty for free. Come on now. But the real question is, why haven't they done this? Like, what's the matter with them? Seriously, I mean, I'm curious, like, what's the matter with them as it relates to, I mean, it's not like this is a brand new company. This is Microsoft that literally hired parts of the cast of Friends to launch Windows 95. And they had Bill Gates dancing on stage and paid the Rolling Stones God knows how many millions to get Start Me Up as their... I mean, they know about marketing when they need to market. It's not like they're like, what do you mean? What's marketing? What's commercial? So the question is, like, they've had plenty of time to realize their marketing is shit. Duro says, I don't think they've done it because of the problem of using the word free. I don't understand. Are you saying even though it's a good product, it's a hard message? I mean, they could basically find a way to say, oh, it's Game Pass. It's Netflix for Game Pass or whatever for video games. Microsoft says just incredible, made the right choice by buying Activision. I agree. I've always said that. But anyway, I wanted to play that clip for you guys, see what you thought. I really do hope that comes to pass. I think that would be excellent. I want to tell you before we get into some of the other stories, just want to run through these really quickly. I went to sign up for this today. You guys might remember a couple years back when Sony bought the esports company. What were they called? Repeat, right? And I'm sure they've done a lot of things, but this, for some reason, it just landed. Oh my God, are you shitting me? I'm looking in the chat. Lee Perez says it was $14 million to get the Rolling Stones to use Start Me Up. Think about that. We only paid them $100,000 and like 50 cents a copy for Twisted Metal Black to get Painted Black. It's because I'm a good negotiator. I didn't negotiate that deal, but that's the truth. Okay. But they bought this company, Repeat. Maybe you guys are like, yeah, Jaffe, we know. We play it every weekend. But I wasn't really aware of it in terms of what they do. But then they announced, and I signed up for it, but I can't play because I don't have enough ranked games in Fortnite. But they have a $35,000 2-week event that you can sign up for now. It's all local. You play on your home device. It's not like you have to, travel to Seattle or something to play. But Fortnite's a $4,000 tournament. Rocket League is $4,000. PUBG's $2,000. So you can play it on PC, play it on your PlayStation. I don't know if they separate the players to make sure there aren't cheaters or to make sure it's all mouse and keyboard versus mouse and keyboard. But if you like these games, and I do love Fortnite, I'm not good at it. I was going to sign up and just go, I'd be stunned if I make it, 10 minutes in that thing. But I did want to try it. But when I went to sign up for it, which you can still do, so if you've played enough Fortnite or Rocket League or PUBG that you think fuck it, why not? You might get lucky, or maybe you're just that good. Maybe Spazbo's watching. He's like, fuck, I'll make $4,000 the easy way. I'm tired of giving blowjobs on Sunset Boulevard. I'll do this because he's really good. They still got 3,000 slots left. You got a couple days left to sign up. I'll put the link in the chat if you're curious about it. Like I said, it's Fortnite, PUBG, and what's it called? Rocket League. So, make some ducats, baby. Make some money. Get out there and get yours from the man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. All right. Is Evo this month? I don't know when Evo is. I know it's a summer thing, right? You know what? I wonder what's going to be at Evo. Have they announced? And certainly I wonder, are people... I got to look up two things. I don't mean to do research on the show, but I want to see Steam DB. I want to see how Multiverses is doing. When we checked it last week, it was like 15,000. Let's see where Multiverses is living these days. Are they dropping? Are they hanging steady? What do we got? Nah, they're dropping, baby. I haven't gone back to it. Look at that. You can't be happy. You can't be happy if you're these guys. It's been out for a month. They launched with 15,000 concurrents after they relaunched. And now, last week, they were around this, 12,000. Now it looks like this last week, they have been steadily dropping. And it's Friday, and they're at 9,000. That's not good. No bueno. The other thing is, I was just wondering if that's going to be there, but I don't know. When is Evo? July. Okay, what games? Games for Evo 2024. They may not have announced it. Oh, here we go. They have. Fuck you. Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Under Night in Birth. I don't know what the fuck that is. You ever heard of that? Mortal Kombat 1, Guilty Gear Strive, King of Fighters 15, Street Fighter 3, Third Strike. That's cool. I might go out for that. I mean, not to play or anything like that. Just I might be in Vegas over the summer a few times, so maybe I'll coincide the trip. Okay. Multiverses is not a closed beta, no. They did try to make a second first impression, and they made a great second first impression. Multiverses is better now, in my opinion, than it's ever been. But I don't know. People, like me, showed up, played it. We're like, it's cool. And now they moved on with their fucking lives. Game Pass says Witch X isn't marketed. It's what I said the day of the show, and you said, what do you mean you don't know what's coming to Game Pass? What? I don't think you would ever be able to accurately accuse me of suggesting that Game Pass is marketed well. So in that, I agree with you 100%. But the day of the show, we didn't know what was coming to Game Pass. Like there were things that were like, is everything now first party coming to Game Pass or whatnot? Just Incredible says, Jaffe, you should go to Miami and join the king of that town, Mr. Miami. I know. Okay, listen, speaking of things that are like, what is wrong with people? Sony no longer cares about the PSVR 2, and neither should you, says Android Central. They're reporting that there's only 2 games in development, first party. Probably a bunch of them also got canceled. People are saying that Sony is really gutted the funding of second and third party PSVR 2 games. So like if you're a developer and you're like, hey, I'd like to, make a VR game. And they're like, back in the day, maybe they would have been like, okay, we'll give you $1.5 million. It's almost impossible to get money out of them. What do you mean it's such a BS story, Awesome Tatum? I'm not saying you're wrong, but I've seen nothing debunking this story. Are you telling me that it's not accurate, where they say sources close to Android Central have revealed that Sony is making deep cuts to funding for VR games? I'll paraphrase for the anonymity of my source, but my source was told that there will be very few opportunities for VR game devs at Sony going forward. And I saw this exact thing happen with PSVR 1, because we were kind of, we launched Drawn to Death around a little bit after PSVR 1. And we told Sony, we love this shit. We want to do VR. And we even had a meeting with Scott Rohde, came out to Bartlett Jones, and we pitched him a bunch of fucking VR games. Iron Man was one of them before they committed to make Iron Man, or not, they didn't publish it, but Marvel made it with Camouflage or something. But it just, a couple months later, and it was like, yeah, let's not focus on VR. It kind of dried up. And this sounds very similar. To back it up, Android continues, another source informed me that only 2 PSVR games are in development at Sony. Given the state of the games biz with constant layoffs and studio closings, I don't exactly feel confident that even these games will ever see the light of day if Sony continues on its current trajectory. So, look, I mean, they did just release the cable or something that lets you hook it up and play PC VR games, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, look, the writing was on the wall with PSVR 1. I don't understand why they made another one. And I know it was great, by the way. You are getting new PSVR titles, says Awesome, every day. Okay, well then great, but this isn't saying you're not. Maybe what they're saying is that new titles coming from first party or second party have dried up. Now, maybe you are getting, people who made a game for Meta and the port comes out, or, what, I'm not saying that's not happening, but they're not saying that either. They're just saying Sony as a first party have said, we're kind of clearly by their actions, not really all that interested. Yeah, Zero Signal says, I for one am shocked, I say, that after PS Move, Vita, PSVR, Vita TV, PSP, PSP Go, there's probably 3 or 4 others I'm forgetting, that Sony didn't support it. I mean, at this point, you have to even say, and I'm sure they did. I mean, I'm sure they're, because people's memories are short when it comes to shit like this, and you can market shit to anybody. But there has to come a point where you say, if we continue to do this, our reputation is going to be so poorly affected that the money we would lose by continuing to support PSVR 2 is potentially more worrisome than the money we would lose for continuing to make games. I'm sorry, I'm reading Nawdog, who said, great job, Jeremy. How does people remember that unless I know who you are in real life? Oh, I mean, I know what that's from, but I don't imagine many people will. Okay. But anyway, whatever, there you go. And I get it. They're bringing more titles to it on PS Premium. I'm not shitting on your purchase. I think it was a dumb purchase, but I don't think it's a bad product. Everybody who's played it says it's fucking amazing. There's no doubt it's a phenomenal piece of hardware, but that's a totally different conversation. The main conversation is, why would you buy this? Because they ain't gonna support it. And more importantly, I don't know if you guys saw, but Apple has pulled back on their Vision Pro next generation version because they want to make one that's like $1,600, which I think is the right move, because it's really hard to write the success story or obituary on that particular system, which is not VR. It can do VR, but that's not its primary function. When the only way you can get one is to spend, $3,500. So we'll see. And I'll tell you something else, though, to give you VR heads, which I love VR, some good news, though. And this doesn't just apply to VR. This goes to the heart of what we talk about a lot on this show that I'm very passionate about, which is gameplay first, commercial idea first. The production value is not, unless you are a tech company or you're trying to sell your hardware only. That's not the that's not the North Star to chase. Okay, VR title Gorilla Tag has made over $100 million in a year. Look how simple it looks. They have over 1 million daily active users, 3 million monthly active users. They got 100,000 reviews. Was the first VR app to do it. They've made over $100 million in revenue. If you don't know what this is, it's a cute, funny little thing. It's like you can do multiplayer tag with it, like literal, but it's more about. It's one of those games that you give to your family at Thanksgiving, or it's just like, oh, you're a monkey, and so you actually have to do the monkey things, and there's like physics involved, so you can push off walls and swing on things, and it's very simple. It probably cost I don't fucking know. It's probably cost somebody. I doubt it was over $1 million to make this fucking thing. And they've made bank because do the monkey things, right? Because they put the money into commercial concept, cheap budget. People are happy with it. Move on with your goddamn lives. It's not, Eric says, here comes Jaffe with his dorky games. My dorky games may be, pal, but I'll tell you what, $100 million is what they've made off this dorky game. And I guarantee you at a level of profit, like percentage of profit, their profits at a percentage level, at a scale level, are probably higher than most of Sony's first party successes, is what I would say. Just because it didn't cost anything. I haven't played it though. I did play a game that was cool. I don't know, similar. It was that the guy in VR is a giant monkey in a tree, and everybody else is playing on their phones, and he's in the tree throwing coconuts and shit at people, and you're trying to get to him and knock him down. It was really cool. I dug it. I really, really dug it. All right, well, let's move on. I just wanted to, give you a little good news. I'm not all about the gloom and doom, baby. I like success. Trust me, I've had enough success and failure that I would prefer success. I'm a fan of it. I just, sometimes you gotta, I don't know, shut up. Interesting. So in the chat right now, where did it go? Billy Bones says, Jaffe, we need more gaming with you. Please stream Elden Ring DLC. I have no intention of playing Elden Ring DLC until I download it and mod it so I can run it at 80% slower, and then I will play it. In the meantime, though, I did get a code for this game that if I have time, I have a bunch of behind the scenes stuff I got to work on for the stream. But if I have time, I will be streaming this sometime this weekend. It just came out yesterday or the day before, and it's called #Blood. And it's clearly inspired. We talked about it the other day. It's like sitting at like a 78 Metacritic. I've played about 40 minutes of it. It has style to burn. And that's fucking awesome. The moment-to-moment gameplay is like, action Zelda kind of thing, and it's solid. It's nothing to write home about. But the ability to capture, the Cartoon Network 90s and even later, like what is the show where you're like the fish and the dad's like a fucking idiot, he's blue, and he's got the little sister, that fucking show. What is that fucking show? My kids used to love that. Funny fucking show. They capture the style so well that even though I'm not going, this is the greatest game ever, it's really fun to sort of play this, what amounts to a fucking, interactive cartoon. It's quite neat. It's quite neat. So I will probably be streaming that pretty soon. Dexter's Lab, but what am I thinking of? Gumball. Yeah, The Amazing Adventures or whatever of Gumball. That's right. So I'll be streaming this if I stream something this weekend. I also, there's some other stuff I'm playing too. I'm playing this weird game that's kind of cool but weird called Museum Simulator, where you go on adventures to like pyramids and shit to find relics, and then you take them back to the museum and try to clean them up so that you can have a successful museum. It's very strange. It's like Uncharted meets, not that I'm overselling it. It's like a PC adventure game of Uncharted with no action meets Power Wash Simulator. But it's kind of neat, man. There's a lot of cool shit out there. Anyway, so here you go. This is what I'll be streaming if I stream this weekend. Okay. Let's now I want to give you a warning. Let me just make sure I got this this pattern down here. Okay. One moment. I just want to make sure I do it all in the right order so I don't. Okay, this is the right order. Great. All right, we are now going to shift gears and we're going to talk a little bit interesting. Mina says, Jaffe, have you noticed the older you get, the more you're interested in low budget games? No. What has happened is, Mina, that hang on, I want to see what you said. You played at your friend's today? 30-minute. Which game? Oh, VR. Okay. What's happened is I came up with games that were AAA, but were more interesting at the time. There's more variety. And so as I got older, I never coveted the production value. I coveted it as somebody that was impressed by what the artist could create. I was like, oh my God, they're super talented. And I understood the value of great graphics for sales. But I was always more interested in mechanics. So in gameplay. So I actually don't think that's happened. Here's what I think though. I think, Mina, that as the indie space and AA space has exploded in terms of not just variety, but ways to get the games, there's a lot more stuff that's just interesting and exciting that piques my interest compared to like, oh, look, it's just another big graphics fest, right? I was showing people a game the other day. A lot of people poo-pooed it, called Sunset Demons or Devils. And it was a isometric cowboy shooting game. But what was cool about it was it took all the buttons on the mouse or your controller, and every single gun in that game plays differently. So if you have the Colt or you have the 6-shooter, you literally have to pull the hammer back, or you have to, I don't know, it's called a panel. You have to kind of do that thing where you click it open, and then you actually have to take the casings out, and then you have to put the bullets in, and then you have to close it, and every shot you have to pull the hammer back, right? That's for one gun. All of the weapons have that kind of nuance. And I can see people saying, well, yeah, but it looks like a game from the GBA era, and it does, but I don't care. Because once I'm engaged in that gameplay, that's all that it's more than enough to get me vibing. And yeah, Angerfoot, it was great. I know I'm waiting for that to come out, but the demo was great for Angerfoot. Okay, so I'm gonna warn you now. We're gonna get into a little bit of DEI stuff, not a lot, because there's nothing. I'm just gonna give you some news, and do with it what you want. I'm not gonna debate with you. I don't care if you agree or disagree. There's no winning this conversation. You think what you think, but I do want to at least kind of share data, and maybe if someone's got an interesting take. And this also ties into some super chats I got the last couple of shows that I didn't get around to getting, and I want to get to those right now. Jay Lord, thank you, buddy. He says a new AI company has been created called MEI, Merit, Excellence, and Intelligence, rather than DEI. Ha, 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 go fuck yourself, Jay Lord. Whatever, I hear you. Okay, then we got one... thank you, buddy, from Michael Piatowski, who says, why do PS fanboys want Xbox to die so bad? What are they scared of? I don't understand fanboys, my friend, Michael Piatowski. Alexa, stop. So I'm the wrong guy to fucking ask? I don't fucking know. I don't know, man. I know that here's what I think. I think if you could actually somehow extract the data of the people who actually love playing video games versus the people who love posting and trolling, and the fun for them is debating video games, then I would say that's the answer. Because most gamers who really love games, they go where the games are. It's like saying you're a foodie, but you'll only eat at 2 restaurants. It's like, well, you're not really a foodie then, are you? So that's what I would say. Thank you for the super chat. As it relates to DEI, Shasalai asked, why don't gamers complain about how ugly male main characters look? Probably because a lot of gamers in this particular conversation are men. Not gamers are men, although they are the majority, but not by much. But because this particular bee in their bonnet tends to come mostly from dudes. And I don't think they really care what the male looks like. I think they just want to see women that they want to be able to... I don't fucking know what to tell you. I maybe if we were living back in the SNES days where porn was kind of hard to come by, I could understand, look, I don't have HBO. I don't have the internet. It doesn't exist. So if I'm going to see sexy ladies to jerk off to, well, here's my chance. But now, I don't know why Shazale. I couldn't tell you, man. I appreciate the super chat. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. J Lord drops another super chat. He says, there was a time when American and European studios would make a game like Stellar Blade. There have been a decent change despite gamers not wanting it. But can you as a dev... There's been a definite change despite gamers not wanting it. But why? Can you as a dev explain it? Yeah, I can explain it because I don't think you can speak, if you look at the data, that gamers don't want it. The data says that 48% of women play games and 52% of men play games. And in the console space, there are, I don't know what the cut is. I definitely think it's higher men than women. But I think most people really don't care because most people are not playing their video games to get their rocks off. Most people are playing video games for 1,000 other reasons that trump that. And so, yeah, I get that you care, or people who watch this chat may care, and I respect that. But I think where the reason you ask the question is because you're making the assumption that your position is reflective of a majority or a meaningful number of people. And the reason we know it's not is because there are games that are woke that sell great, and there are games that are not woke that sell great. And there are games that are woke and not woke that crash and burn. And you can't tell me the reason Forspoken or Suicide Squad, which was not really woke. There was one thing in it, which wasn't even, you blink and you miss it, and you had to be looking at signs on a wall, which was in the Justice League headquarters. Hall of Justice, I know. You can't tell me that the reason that game bombed, which I liked, by the way, was because, there was a sign in the Justice League about inclusivity. Come on. So I would say that's the reason is because in America, we're selling to a lot more people and the audience has expanded. And you also have a lot of people who are in the creative arts that are liberal and progressive, and they work in big cities where they're friends with a lot of diverse people compared to just, what you're used to seeing in video games, which is like straight white male females. And so their norm is not your norm. So that would be why. But in my opinion, and we'll get to the news stories about this, but I want to bring my buddy Maxwell. There he is, folks. Where's you been, Max? Max is not only one of the great God of War developers, he's a VR developer, worked on a PSVR 2 game. I think it was 2, right? That was much loved. Or was it PSVR 1? It was the shooter.
It was PSVR 2, but
what was it called though? Because there was 2 games that were similar, but you guys had the more advanced one.
And
you don't even want to say the name of the game?
It didn't do too well.
No, but people liked it.
It was the first contact game.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So what's up, Maxie? How's it going?
No, just working in a new company now.
Yeah, can you say where you're working?
No, I can't say yet, but
can you say cool. What is it, like a big AAA, or it's a smaller thing, or
small thing? Just a small team of God of War guys, and it's going to be awesome.
Is Johnny Haha with you?
No.
No Johnny Haha. Okay.
No,
okay.
but like Gus, you probably remember.
Oh yeah,
Gus
of course.
And Justin Henry, was he there when you were there?
I don't think so. I don't think he was.
A bunch of great guys, fantastic people. Yeah,
right,
I love it.
That's good, and everything's good. The lady friend is good, and
she works right behind me usually.
Nice.
She's out at Big D's now.
I say lady friend because I don't think you're married, but I don't know what the.
I'm married.
You are married now. Okay, the wife.
Almost.
Okay, I don't fucking know. You look like you're out there living the life of like a, crazy bachelor with the lady friend. So I'm like, I don't know, like a fucking superhero or something. Because don't you live right on the goddamn beach too?
Yeah, the Venice Boardwalk's right out the front there.
Son of a bitch. I moved from LA. I should have never left. Never should have left, Maxwell. So what's going on? What do you want to talk about?
Nothing. Just was calling in to say hi. You were talking about VR. I'm having fun playing. What's the game I'm playing? I had queued it up here. Dungeons of Eternity.
Okay. What is it?
Fantastic. We got to play it together one night. Me, you, and my brother. It's one of my favorite VR games so far. I'm
looking it up real quick while you're talking. Is it like a first-person dungeon crawler?
It's a first-person dungeon crawler, and it's just done so well. It is done fantastic. Just really cool.
I'm going to put this on the screen so people can see.
It has like a God of War mechanic where you throw the weapons and you can pull them back and stuff, and just really cool shields, and the way you even pick up loot and stuff. It just everything feels good in the game.
And you're playing on the Meta 3, is that right?
Meta 3, yeah.
Hang on, let me turn down the volume 1 sec. Okay, excellent. Now people ask who you are. Max is a game developer. Max and I worked on all the God of Wars we worked on, and he did all the new God of Wars and VR. I always blow sunshine up his butt, but it's very much deserved. But I figure at this point, it's like, it's not. It's you either know Max or you don't. But he's one of the greats. He's one of the classics. So this is it, huh? Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Looking at a game, I'm sure you've played Gorilla Tag, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Gorilla Tag, they announced today, that game has made $100 million in revenue. And we were kind of speculating probably what the budget was. My guess is that game under $1 million, maybe 1.5?
I don't even think that, to be honest with you. I think it's maybe $1 million. It was done by a very small team.
Right. Well, as a guy who came up and did incredibly well with effects and next gen and all that stuff, what do you think about where the AAA industry is going? And do you think it is like, I look at it and I no longer care. I care about the gameplay only. So even though you created a lot of those things that made people go, oh my fucking God, that's amazing. As a creator now, you're okay stepping away from that if you can make something that's fun, or what's the motivation there?
I think that money drives everything so much in AAA games that everybody's so afraid to take any risks at all. They don't want to. They're only going to bet on things that are going to make them $1 billion.
Right.
They don't want, and that doesn't interest me anymore because it's just the same thing over and over and over again. I want to play something different. I'm with you 100%. I'd rather play indie games, things that are different.
Right. Do you mostly play now? You have a I don't know if you saw the news today that the iVision Pro is about to drop less expensive version, and they've put the pause on working on the next gen version. Have you have that, right? Have you played around with it, and what do you think of it?
The iVision Pro.
Is that what it's called? What the Apple thing? The Apple iVision?
The Vision Pro.
Vision Pro, whatever. Yeah, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, no, I checked it out. It's amazing, but I just don't think they're quite geared for games quite yet.
Right.
You're going to need some controllers, you're going to need something.
Right. And the Meta does, I saw a thing, it might have been for the Pro though, but I saw a skateboarding game that just came out that they showed at Keeley's show that was like augmented reality skateboarding, and it's Tony Hawk, but you can just put ramps in your living room and shit, and he's skating around your living room. I love that stuff, man. It's awesome. It's fucking awesome. So what do you where okay, here's my question, because I'll tell you what this guy who called in the other day from PlayStation said to me, but I'm curious if you see the same thing. Where do you think they're getting these worker bees from at this point for AAA? I mean, you must know by now what a nightmare it is. Now, the programmer said to me, he's like, yeah, but I love tech so much that Sony lets me play with all the newest toys and I get the top of the line and we have really interesting problems to solve. I totally get that from that position. But as a game creator, I mean, where are they finding their people from? Wouldn't most kids come out of USC now and just make their own shit?
I mean, you would think, because you have all the tools to do stuff by yourself now. If you have an idea, there's enough on the internet to, there's a million tutorials. If you want to make a game now, it wasn't like when we started where you had to go to school and learn a bunch of bullshit.
And you couldn't even make it on your own other than typing in some fucking code from the back of a magazine. It's not like you could, where are you going to sell it? Where are you going to monetize it?
You can get halfway there by buying libraries on Unreal and not even making assets. If you don't even know how to make anything, you just have an idea. You can gather everything together from the Unreal store, look at tutorials on how to put something together. There's combat tutorials. There's,
and you don't even need the tutorials. You can just say, I'm going to take this combat module, put it in, and here are the 25 tweakers that's going to let me make my game a little different than their game.
100%. You can ask ChatGPT. I mean, that helps me out a lot these days.
I wanted to ask you about that. So you
not having a tech artist, and going, how do I make, a flock of birds in Unreal, and I want them to fly around. It'll kind of lay it out for you. It won't tell you exactly how to do it, but it'll tell you a general way of how to do something. So people bitch about AI a lot.
I was going to ask you, because you were at the forefront of getting the vibe of VR and AR and all that. And even though it hasn't sold like we wanted, there's no doubt it's transformative in a number of ways. And certainly AR will be. Are you feeling that same level of positivity and excitement over AI? I mean, I am. It sounds like you are as well.
Totally. I mean, I think it's just a tool. You know what? Don't be afraid of something, because to me, a human's, you are always going to think a little different than a computer. Computer's going to generalize a bunch of stuff and kind of spit it out to you. But you're going to think what's in Dave Jaffe's mind. No AI is going to fucking replicate that. It's going to, it's like...
Well, I mean, let's be very specific. So you were the effects guy on all the God of Wars up until the last one, and you did a lot of it on the last one, correct?
I did a couple of the main things in the last.
Okay,
one,
so
but just very little part. I'm going to.
Okay, well let's just take God of War 2018. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. So if somebody came to you and I'm like, one of your tasks, if I was probably like, okay, when you kill these enemies, we have to have. Don't ask me why. It should have been guts and blood, but whatever. Yeah. We're going to have lava coming out of these enemies, right? And I'm assuming you and your team were tasked with making that look as cool as you could on the PS5. Okay, so I imagine if somebody were to come up to you and say, you can start with ChatGPT and it immediately gives you what you shipped with in 2018, you wouldn't be like, okay, I'm done. You'd be like, okay, that's the base.
Yeah,
now, how do we make it really fucking cool? And that takes you, not, why are so many creatives not getting this? Why is it where is this coming from?
I think a lot of people are afraid that everybody's going to lose jobs, or they think that if you're a writer, you can just type a couple of things in and it's going to print out this amazing story. But if you look at what it prints out, it's not an amazing story. It's a general idea of something. And
but it will get better. It will get amazing. And what's wrong with that? Then build on the amazing. So what? I mean, if we could think about this, we could go back in time with AI in 2005 and say, make us this game that we're talking about, God of War, and we basically from day one we're starting with what we shipped with. It's not like we're done. We're going to be like, ooh, let's now, because everybody's going to start from there. Now we've got to build on that with our imaginations and our noodling with it. But I don't know, the internet. People should have to pass a test before they're allowed to speak on the internet. Am I right, Max?
I am. Yeah, you're 100%.
I'm joking, of course, but I mean, somebody in the chat wants to know. Ask him if he liked the idea of Atreus. And God, look.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Max. What do you think?
I generally, I'll tell you, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. When they gave Atreus, I hated him. I couldn't stand him. It's
right.
Like, the dialogue was not that great, and then they brought in awesome writers and
from Sweet Baby.
No, not from Sweet Baby.
I know. Keep going.
Yeah, I really didn't like him. He was a little whiny bitch, you know, and I really didn't like him. And then I ended up liking him towards the end of the story. You know, it's just like it was a kid that was a pain in the ass that kind of grew up towards the end of the game, and I like that. I like what they did with him. You know,
right. Yeah,
you know, I honestly did not like him. I did not.
I honestly, I have the same, visual response to him as I have to Aloy, which is I've seen the actor who plays Atreus. He doesn't look like that kid. He's just a kind of kid that I want to punch in the face because the way he looks, and I know that's terrible. But did you guys ever have that conversation? Like, could you make him not look so punchable, or did that not come up?
I tried my best.
Did you think he looked kind of stupid too? Like, why does he look so fucking goofy?
I did not like him. I was very vocal. You can ask a lot of people in the game.
Yeah.
I really did not like him at first, but I ended up liking him in the end. It's the only game I only got a war game. I played it 3 times, so it's like.
Oh, I thought 2018 was great.
I
great
had
game.
fun.
I remember when Shannon came to me on the first game. I told you this. I've told this story before, but I love it because you're such a core gamer. And she was like, Jaffe, Max was up in my office saying, I don't know what this game is. But then he came back. I think she was like, oh, he played it over Thanksgiving or something where everybody could take home a beta version or whatever. And he came back and told her, she said he told me that it was really, really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank God we got Max. Because I was like, the whole time I was just like, how do we make Max like the game?
Yeah, I loved it.
Listen,
awesome.
I have a question, one more question for you, because what comes up inevitably on this show all the time lately, and I get it, there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of passion around this, and I don't want to tell anybody how to think, but I want to talk about DEI and Sweet Baby and all that shit briefly with you. Mm-hmm. My experience, and again, I haven't been in the game business like at all for about 5-6 years, and certainly not working directly first party Sony before that. But my experience, and when I talk to people, is that work in the game business still, this idea that these gamers are like the people on high are coming down and saying, you have to make Atreus' girlfriend in God of War 2 Ragnarok a black girl, right? Which she was. And they're like, it's diverse, it's woke, and all. I mean, or Spider-Man, Sweet Baby gets paid millions of dollars to come in and tell Sony. Can you imagine Cory Barlog or Eric Williams or any of these guys going, I don't know what to do. Thank God Sweet Baby showed up. What do I do? How do I write? But what is your, that's my take on it. I think it's a lot of smoke and no fire, but what is your take as somebody who's been there as recently as this last huge game from Sony first party?
You know what? It always comes down to a story with me. You know, if the story and the reasoning behind something's fantastic, it doesn't feel forced. And like when we grew up, we had Ripley. You know, it's like, did that feel forced? Would that be considered DEI like these days because they have a strong female lead in there? No,
it wasn't even written for It wasn't even written for a woman actually. So
I didn't know that, but I'm just saying, Ripley. You know, it's like Terminator.
Yeah,
same thing. Very strong. You know, but to me, that story is so good that you're not even really thinking about those things. Even the I haven't seen the latest Mad Max, but the one before it, you know, it's like, again, you know, I really don't care. You know, to me, nothing really bothers me if the story is awesome. If the story is great and it's compelling, and I feel like, you know, there's no rhyme and reason why the person's there. It's just because they're there. That's fine. You know, to me, it's not. I really don't care that much. I just think as long as the story is good.
Sure. But do you have any secondhand or firsthand? I know with what you did, you probably weren't engaging with writing consultants, but maybe you were. But I mean, did you have any first or secondhand experience dealing with this idea of this pressure coming from somewhere outside or from Foster City or whatever saying, not enough black people, not enough LGBT people? Was that a talking point for you guys on the team?
Not in any company I've ever worked at. It's not been like a thing that you You have to make, you know how it is, Dave. You got to make games for yourself sometimes and not worry about what other people think. That's some of the best games. If you're worried about what everybody's thinking, you're just going to get pulled in all directions and the game's not going to be great. You know, that's why I loved working for you and Corey and Eric. It's like, this is the way the game's going to be, and that's it. You might get a little bit of things, but it's nothing like, you know, nothing's going to change Corey's mind from the way the game's going to be.
And you're not going to keep people around like me back in the day, or people like you or Corey or Eric or any of the, or Neil Druckmann. That's like, we're not short order cooks that go to work and go, please tell us what to make. They would never keep these highly skilled people at that point. So I don't know. I just find it so frustrating that, you know, there's so many people that are angry about it on the internet. And when you really try to talk to them, or you try to say, okay, I hear you, but can you, you know, I'm talking to Max, or I'm talking to journalists, or I'm trying to find this evidence. And it's like, I get that you may not like certain things that feel forced, but you know, it's not like Spider-Man 2, which a lot of people say that was a big offender. It was a huge hit and people loved it. Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, well, you had to go do missions that you had to help gay kids get a prom date. I'm like, well, so? I mean, or don't do those missions. I don't know. Max, I'm getting old. I'm tired of these whippersnappers on my fucking lawn.
I just love video games so much. I don't care what system it is, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. It shouldn't be an argument about things. Everybody should just love games.
I know.
And, you know, if that makes somebody else feel great, who cares? Is that hurting you?
Here's what's weird, though, about you, Max. You were a football player in high school. So you were the guy who at least sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? The cliche, the trope is that you were the guy that stuffed the gamers and geeks in their lockers. I'm not saying you did that. I'm saying that, you know, the fact that here you are and you're the voice of reason going, we should all just love games. Why aren't you, if you don't like that one, go play that one. And you actually make them and you're going, this stuff isn't really happening like you guys think it is. And you weren't even one of these guys that came up realizing how unique it was to find back in when we were kids, another gamer. Yeah. It wasn't like you could find them like now. It's like maybe two kids in your school, maybe, were passionate about Atari and the NES. Most kids were like, that's stupid. You're a geek, you know?
Well, we were really, I was a football player, but I really didn't hang. I had a couple football player friends.
Yeah.
But I was also like, I was in special ed because I had problems learning. So that was kind of like an issue I had that I had to overcome.
Yeah.
You know, I had football friends. I had stoner, nerdy friends. You know, it's like I had the whole gambit of friends. You know, I didn't want to be in just one clique. So I had a bunch of buds. I was one of the, you know, back in the early 86 when I started school, I had long hair and I had an earring and I was going to school in Sacramento, and the coach is like, you're gonna have to shave your hair, you're gonna have to take your earring out. I'm not gonna play that. But I was, and so
what did they let you play?
I was so good. They're like,
you got
then they turned it around. They're like, Max is like, you know, I don't know, Samson. He needs to have his hair. You know, that's the strength from his hair.
There you go. There you go. That's my problem. I lost my hair too early. I could have been a great football player. Oh, well. Max, thanks for calling, buddy. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there. I hope to see you in real life soon. Thank you, buddy.
Up, brother.
See you soon, man. Bye, y'all. There goes Max. Max, salt of the earth, buddies. I'm telling you. He's a good dude. He's a good dude, and he knows what he's talking about, fellas. Again, I'm not saying some of you guys don't have some points that you want to bring up. We'll talk about that. I'm just saying that, you know, when people tell you some of the shit you think is happening is not happening, I don't know. Maybe you should fucking listen sometimes. You know. What's up? It's Jaffe. Kyle, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, man.
What's up?
I just want to say for a quick minute with the whole DEI thing, I get annoyed with the argument. I think people have conflated the bad writing of today with diversity and made the arguments, and a lot of podcasters have kind of jumped on that.
Wait, say that again because I wasn't listening.
Sorry.
That's not your fault. I just had a impromptu interview with Max, so my AD is like, dude, you have to focus again. Yeah. I'm like, no, look, I have a Hulk toy over there. Okay, let me focus. Shh. Go.
So
say it again. Say it again, Kyle.
Saying that the writing today is poor, and therefore the people are conflating the DEI argument with bad writing. I think a lot of writers are kind of looking down on the people who are the audience and just thinking they're smarter than them.
Give me an example of, because when you say the writing today is poor in video games, that suggests that
I don't think it's just video games.
Okay, but if we're saying, I mean, it's not like video games have ever been a medium where people are like, oh my God, did you see the latest story in Contra 2? I mean, what is this glory day that we long to return to where the writing was genuinely fantastic?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any specific time period. I just think the one thing I hear a lot about now is more or less just Star Wars because that show's out. I haven't watched that, so I'm not talking about that show.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
But I think the writing overall for Star Wars has been rather poor. Like, I think Mandalorian got poor. Not that it's been this amazing Hamlet Shakespearean, but it feels more like it's ham-fisted. Like, what was the last guy's name? Max? Mm-hmm. He made the point of stories being not forced. Like, when things feel so forced and, you know what? Saints Row. I hate to bring that up because everyone fucking brings that up. But, like, when they hammer in 20 times that each one of the companion characters are talking about, you know, the evils of capitalism, and they're just repeating the same fucking line every character. Mm-hmm. Like, just things like that, and it's just there's no nuance to the differences between them and what their personalities and how they should be different. Like, they all felt kind of same, but like, oh, they just have a different code. This guy is into cooking. This guy is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I will say, you know, because I always say I thought the last Saints Row was fun. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was a fun B game. But I will concede that, yeah, I don't remember any of their names or any of their personalities. They might as well have been creative characters. So certainly if you're hoping, or people were hoping, that the Saints Row characters would be more memorable like the characters in GTA 5 or 4 or 3 or whatever, I would agree. But, you know, that said, I wasn't aware people went to Saints Row for that, but okay. I mean, how much of it do you think has to do also with the fact that, you know, you've got a medium that historically hasn't, you know, I mean, we don't really get the best writers in games. That doesn't mean there aren't some games that are wonderfully written. It doesn't mean there aren't some games where people have reached out and hired somebody who worked on this movie that we love or this game that we love. But more often than not, the people who are writing video games, more often than not always, are the ones that couldn't get the job writing film and TV. And I say that not because I'm being a dick, but because why would you write, unless you love the medium and genuinely feel, I mean, ask yourself this for a minute. If you're a writer and you want to write in the interactive medium, then you probably aren't going to be writing AAA, where most of your ability to express your love of writing is coming from a cutscene. You're probably going to be working at a company more like That Game Company or one of these indie companies where they're really trying to figure out how to express narrative ideas through mechanics, right? But most writers are not working at those companies. They're writing cutscenes, whether it's for Suicide Squad or whether it's for Saints Row or whether it's for Sony. And at that point, you're like, why would you work for a medium that totally cuts the knees of your art form off, which is writing, because the player now has to go find 20 tchotchkes before he gets, you know, the key to open the door where the next cutscene plays, versus if you're a good writer going out to write linear television, novels, or movies that, if you hit, pay a hell of a lot better.
Certainly, I mean, that's a fair point. You know, writing is one facet of games, but they're not. Gameplay is obviously the most important.
Yeah, but you're talking about the problem at a story level. You're saying it's not so much that it's woke. They're conflating wokeness with bad writing. Ace, no.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was getting around to where I'm agreeing with you in the sense that, yes, we're not going to get the AAA writers necessarily. We're getting people who are fans of video games, who are. I've never made a game, so I don't know. But a lot of times in the old days, it seemed like the lead animator or lead designer was half writing the story. Also.
I absolutely. Yeah.
So I agree, and I'll concede that point. But also, I would say that at this point, we've had enough great video game stories that the fans of those are in the industry now. And you would think there would be some wishing to evolve or make better the medium as far as writing goes.
It may be hard because the budgets are so high that, if, like I said, if you're a guy that really comes out of USC Film School and you're like, man, I have this vision for how we can do horror interactively and not just like with the window dressing like most horror games do it, but I want to scare you through gameplay, through mechanics, that guy's probably going to be better served working at an indie company with 4 or 5 other horror fanatics or getting some money from Blumhouse Games to try out a prototype than going to Sony and trying to get some power for a $300 million game where no one knows who they are.
Well, that's that, what was it, Until Dawn? They did The Quarry too. That studio kind of does that.
Yeah, well,
I can't remember what their name is.
I loved Until Dawn. I thought The Quarry was not good, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's clearly their passion
for what it was. I'm interested in their new one that's coming out.
But yeah, and I look, I think there are people that, you know, want to, I mean, it would be a lie to say after 2020 with George Floyd and all that liberals for sure didn't, and also with Trump, a lot of people who are in the arts and creative stuff tend to be, not always, but tend to be more progressive and leftist. And a lot of, you know, quote, my side was woken up by things that either we kind of knew but didn't want to say or didn't want to acknowledge, or that we didn't know that were happening at all to other people. And it just hit at that time. We were all home because of COVID. And so we were kind of a captive audience to seeing this all the time. And I think a lot of people probably didn't, and still maybe don't know how to really make things better for those people who have to deal with that shit. And so maybe they've overcorrected to the point that the people that either don't care about that stuff or do care, but they just don't care in that particular way of expressing it, find the expression of it in the arts obnoxious. I can totally see that, but I don't think it's because, you know, what I wish is the people who were pushing back on it would see it from that lens at worst versus like there's this agenda by the Rothschilds that's trying. I mean, it's just such ridiculous conspiracy theory that maybe that's why those folks are so easily dismissed, because there's a much more practical reason why it's probably happening, that no one's out there trying to, you know, turn your kids into, you know, pizza monsters that get raped and I mean,
well,
it's just,
yeah, some people are ridiculous. Colin made, I can't remember if it was your show or his show, but he made a really good argument where a lot of people, when it comes to this, just aren't good at debating or formulating an actual argument.
Yeah.
So I think that's a large part of it too. And then there's trolls, but I don't think the majority are these racist homophobics who don't want to play anything other than some straight white dude.
I think that's probably true.
But
I think that's some, but I think it would, if people really wanted to solve it, and part of it, it's, you know, arguing on the internet is fun and people's lives sometimes are boring, and that gets the dopamine going, and, you know, it's hard to just turn that off. But it really is doing a bad thing to this country. So hopefully
I agree with all of that.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, have a good weekend, man. Thank you for calling.
You as well. Bye.
All right, last call of the day. I'm going to bring on Martin. Gavin says if they were all liberal 10 years ago, there's a self-insertion now, or at least politically, that wasn't as present. And now you have far left grifters selling a solution. Yeah, I mean, there's grifters on both sides, and that's right. I think a lot of people, me included, even though I, you know, grew up in Alabama, I knew about racism, obviously. I mean, everyone knows about it, but I experienced it secondhand, seeing it. I experienced homophobia secondhand, seeing it. And so I thought I knew enough about what was going on. And then 2020 hits, and you're seeing, you know, George Floyd stuff, and you're seeing people defending keeping Confederate statues up, not putting them in museums, that's fine, but keeping them up in taxpayer, you know, places and all that stuff. And you get shocked and you go, okay, I want to make this better. And yeah, maybe there was overcorrection. but I don't think the hearts were in the wrong place. So, but we'll see. Martin, what's going on?
Hi, yeah, me again.
Did you call earlier?
I called yesterday.
I don't remember. I'm drunk and high most of the time, so I don't remember what happens 5 minutes.
What? No, that's cool.
All right, what's going on? What's going on, Martin?
I wanted to ask you, have you ever played Blood Omen?
So help me out here. Blood Omen was the PS1 top-down one, and then Soul Reaver was Blood Omen, the 3D one on PS2 that Amy worked on that you can change the environment, right?
It was on PS1.
But Blood Omen was the top-down kind of Zelda with vampires, correct?
Yeah. With vampires.
I played a little of it. I did not play a lot of it. Certainly not enough to be able to sort of talk about it that much because I don't know much about it.
You're missing out with the good games.
Well, where can I get it? Do I have to buy an old PS1 or is it on PS Plus Premium or something?
You have to buy a old console. Yeah, I thought the PS5 was gonna make old games again. They said they're gonna bring back PS2 games.
Well, they got Ghost Hunter out. I'm playing that this weekend probably. So, all right. What are your big crazy plans for the weekend, buddy? You seem like a guy who goes out and cuts a rug on the weekend. What are you doing this weekend?
Well, I had nothing going on this weekend.
So you're just chilling at home?
The opposite, yeah.
All right, well, that's good. I'll be streaming. I'm going to be streaming this #Blood. I'll be around this weekend. We're doing I Love the Weird tomorrow. You going to tune in for that?
Yeah. I'm going to watch everything.
All right, good, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Martin. Do you have something else real quick?
Yeah. You often mention UFOs.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, do you know about Phil Snyder?
I do not. No.
He's a person that he says that he has met an alien.
I'm looking him up right now while you're talking. Keep going.
He fought and he says he killed it. They can die.
Well, of course they can die. I would
he
imagine.
worked in the government thing, Area 51, before it blew up. And he has missing fingers and his chest is cut up. He says that aliens have this weapon. It's pretty dangerous. And he shows it. He does interviews. He does
and you believe him. You believe he is.
I believe him. I believe him before he kind of blew up or went viral.
Okay.
I watched him before the government said, yeah, the UFOs are real now.
The Zeke is saying he was an underground tunnel engineer. That underground tunnel shit is crazy. Was he working on that stuff?
Yeah, he says it. If you want to listen to him.
I'll look him up before tomorrow's show, and if there's something new going on with him, I'll bring him up. I'll talk about it because I did see a map, and I never knew how real it was. That was showing where all these tunnels were, and it was pretty weird where these entrances are. But Zeke says you should check out his speeches. I guess somebody killed him. He's dead now, right?
Yeah, yes, he suicide, but I know it wasn't suicide. Yeah, he got killed in an apartment. They found him dead. Okay, they say he was talking too much. He said the government actually has the UFO, and they've been working with aliens the whole time.
Oh yeah, everybody's saying that now. I wonder what it would take to get killed by the government. What would you have to say today? Because everybody's telling you that shit.
Right. I guess they can't do nothing now.
Yeah, good. Fuck them. Let's find out the truth. All right, man. Thank you for calling, Martin. I'll see you tomorrow on tomorrow's show. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you for giving me a chance to talk.
Always, buddy. See you, dude. Maskista, last call of the day. What's up?
Yo, what's up, Jaffe? How you doing?
You doing a show?
Wait, what did you mean when you said that he looks like a guy that would cut a rug?
No, I didn't say he looked like one. Cutting a rug is like an old person thing to say about, I'm going to go out and cut a rug. I was doing it because it makes me, as President Bartlett says in The West Wing, it makes me folksy and charming. I don't actually say cut a rug.
I always wonder why people think you're intimidating.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be the beard. I don't know. Or maybe that you created Kratos, so. No.
They don't want to be on my wrong side. I got nothing. So what's going on? What do you want to talk about real quick?
No, I just had a question regarding Starfield.
Yes.
And it's probably a little bit of a tease for tomorrow for I love
Okay.
the weird.
Okay.
But my question to you is, would you go through the Unity if you were to find it?
I mean, yes. Well, yes, I would. Now I would, because my kids are raised and they're grown and they've got their own lives. Never when I was raising my kids, I would have never considered that. But if I could step through, and without spoiling too much, the Unity, the idea of sort of stepping into a portal that reveals, what at least helps you get closer to what occurred, and why things are what they are. Yeah, I would totally walk through that fucking thing. Starfield. Go ahead.
What would you do different?
If I got to relive it, but with the memory of,
because you know how how it goes. Yeah.
But I would have the memory. I mean, there's the practical thing first, right? I would get into this racket that I do now a lot sooner than I did. That would be the main thing.
What you're doing right now, like a show and talking to people?
Yeah, I would have gone into radio and then ultimately internet, I think, because I enjoy this more than anything I've ever done in terms of work or hobby. I just think it's the greatest. And I'm not saying I would have been successful, but I'm stubborn enough that I would have been I would have at least tried it if I could go through the Unity and kind of re-roll the dice. But short of that, I'd like to think not much. I'm very fortunate. Even though I'm not married anymore, I like who I married. I love who I married. I love the result of that marriage. There are a couple regrets about certain investments we made, but short of that, I do that, But I mean, but then again, if it was like, oh, I'm just rolling the dice again, I mean, fuck, maybe I would go, I'll do that one the third time. The next time I'm going to try to get into the fucking, military so I can see what's going on with UFOs and shit. I would just fucking play, or I'd I don't fucking know. I definitely would.
Yeah, I have thoughts on aliens and UFOs too.
Watch tomorrow.
Did you play? Yeah, definitely. Did you get to the part in Starfield where you do what's the black guy's name? Your companion.
Jay-Z?
No.
I have no idea.
I forget.
I forget all their names. I mean, because there's like 6 companions in the lodge, right?
Yeah. Well, his. Did you ever did their story mission, like after you fully friend them and like their affinity goes all the way up?
Is the black guy the dude up in the satellite, the eye in the sky?
No, the other one, the one you start off with on the mine. And the first character you meet.
Is he the one that helps you
with the robot?
Is he the one that helps you burn the bodies?
No, you don't know. Hold on.
Okay, I'm kidding. I don't remember, but what's your point?
Because like his, I don't want to spoil too much.
Okay, so if I go through on another playthrough, I should pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Say that. That's it. No more. What is really cool? Speaking of Starfield.
Wait. One more.
No, I want to talk about Starfield, but keep going. Keep going.
I have a bone to pick with
Is it related to Starfield?
No, it's
okay. Then wait, let me save it then.
Oh, okay,
I'll get to it on this call, but I want to just say I've been reading some interesting writing about Starfields, and I don't mean like the patch or the DLC that's coming with the vehicles or the new story. I mean like the most recent updates, and it's really interesting. Like I have a really weird response as a one-time designer at the level of freedom they're giving you to all the knobs and all this shit. But like I don't know if you saw this, and I haven't experienced it yet. I have been replaying Starfield, but it not like since this went live. But I'll just show you this real fast. I want to tell you what they were talking about. It's really neat.
Yeah, the car stuff in Starfield is so. I'm still playing that game. I have like 300 hours on that game.
I love it. I know people shit on it.
Cool.
But
like I just did my other New Game Plus run, but because now you can choose your like the skills that you want to choose at the beginning.
Right.
So I chose the one that gives you the home.
Oh, okay. Well, listen to this though. This is one of the mods they have in the the latest update, which I thought was so interesting. The whole sustenance thing. Have you played with that?
Oh yeah. You won't suffer drinking and feed and hydration. I basically made it into a survival mode. That's how I play now.
Right, but what I love so you have to eat or you get weaker and bad shit happens to your stats, right?
Yeah, and if you get shot, you get you get puncture wounds. If you jump too high, you can get sprained. You can sprain your ankle. You break your bone. And what's cool is that if you don't take care of it soon, that status has a positive and negative effect.
Yes.
So if you don't cure it, it can get worse, and you'll lose more health. You'll lose more stamina.
Melee attacks get weaker. But
are you playing like that too?
Well, I haven't updated to this one, but what I like is the positive version of it, which is I wouldn't want to play it as survival, because what I like is if you do turn on keeping yourself fed and hydrated, it says when you eat food, your health increases by 30%, your melee damage goes up by 15%, carrying capacity goes up by 25%, and if you drink, your oxygen goes up by 30, your sneak attack damage goes up by 15, you reload guns faster. So if it was just survival, I would say, that's too hardcore for me. But now they're like, but look at all this positive shit you get if you keep yourself fed and hydrated. I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. So I think it's the coolest thing, man.
You could put it so that you only get the positive effects and you don't get the negative effects of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty neat.
I have a whole idea for a proper survival mode that they could do.
Okay, well, don't pitch it to me right now. Let's go to your bone you have to pick.
All right, SOCOM. You keep saying that they shouldn't bring it back.
Correct.
I disagree because...
Right, but you're wrong.
Hear me out.
Okay, keep going.
I think the people that play SOCOM 2 was my first online game I've ever gotten into. I was so scared when I played that back in PS2.
Okay.
And I think they can bring it back if they just look at Escape from Tarkov and make it more accessible, and just call that SOCOM. Because what it's doing is they would be completely remaking a new game, which is what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But I think the people that grew up playing SOCOM are older now, and I think that name would be very attractive to a lot of people.
Right. Here's how I can prove you wrong, though. It's not that I don't think I agree that would be a good game that would be a great foundation to build a new game on for Sony first party, and make it military and make it all SOCOM-y and all that shit. However, here's the problem. It's not that there aren't enough people that want it to make that maybe a valuable reason that you would not start a new IP. It's because what you just said, which is let's build it on the bones of Tarkov. I guarantee you, if you went in to a SOCOM forum and proposed that, you would have about 40% who think that's a brilliant idea, and you'd have 40% that think you're a fucking idiot and you don't really know what makes SOCOM great, and you'd have another 20% that are like, it's okay, but I think it should be this. And so my issue is not that they couldn't make a great game. It's that it's been so long since SOCOM has planted a flag and said, this is what we are, that it has allowed everybody to build via nostalgia goggles what it was to them. And why in the world would you risk pissing off a very vocal, albeit not very big fan base that could hurt your sales or at least hurt your reputation versus just make something brand new?
I wouldn't be opposed to
that's the reason, not because I don't think SOCOM was a great game back in the day, and not because I don't think you couldn't bring it back and please those people. I lived this with Twisted Metal 2012. There was such a delay from 2001 to 2012 that a lot of those people had grown up, and what they were splintered about what they determined was valuable in Twisted Metal, and we couldn't please them all. And so inevitably people got pissed and it's like, that's not Twisted Metal, fuck that. And that's fine, that's fair. So that's why I think so. True. Masochista buddy, be well, have a great weekend.
Wait. Two more.
Oh my God.
2 more.
Fast.
Wait, let me check my notes. Hold on.
Oh my God, what is this, an interview? Come on.
No, GeForce Now, I just tried it today, but I've been trying the free one. But
Okay.
today I tried the ultimate one, which is
Yep,
the one
that's what I have.
4K 120.
Yep.
Bro, I tried it on my ROG Ally, and Starfield and Cyberpunk, they literally look as if they're running locally.
Yeah,
and
in
looks
top of the
really
line, right?
freaking-
You have all the knobs pulled up.
Yeah, everything. I had it running at 1440, 120.
Yep.
And it just worked, and
Yeah.
all the graphics maxed out, everything. So I just want to let you know that you're not alone.
I know
Listen
I'm
to
not
these
alone.
other
What I
people that
wish,
don't.
what I wish these people would do would just go. You know what? Jaffe seems like a straight shooter. He's not going to lie. He knows that everybody doesn't have the same internet or distance to the server. He says that over and over to make it clear
Yeah.
that I know some people are not, and right now maybe even the majority of people are not going to have that experience. But there was a time 15 years ago where a lot of people couldn't stream a movie off Netflix, which is why Redbox did so well, because it was an alternative
Yeah.
for people that didn't have great internet. But instead, they just act like I'm a fucking moron. That you don't understand. It's the laws of physics. I do
like,
understand.
They talk about but latency or whatever, dude. I was playing it here. I play games like Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty, all these.
Yeah.
Like you saw my title, I'm a pro gamer. I'm a pro gamer that never went pro.
Okay. Well, you should sign up for the goddamn contest this weekend. You saw that. Were you watching the show earlier?
Nah.
Go
I
to.
joined them a little late.
Okay, well, look, go over.
shit,
Seriously, you can sign up for it's $4,000 for Fortnite over the weekend, $4,000 for PUBG, $4,000 for Rocket League, and this is a Sony-owned company called Let me bring it up just so you guys can see it if you missed it earlier. I went to sign up for Fortnite, but I haven't played enough ranked matches. You have to play 100 ranked matches, or they won't let you sign up. But you know, it's real fucking money. Let me get you this real quick. I mean, unless you're like, no, Jaffe, I don't play any of those games. Point is, though, you should do that. It is called. I've already
I'll
lost
definitely
it.
take a look at it.
Look into
but
it.
yeah,
Look
like
into it.
people just talk about latency, and it's like I literally tried it here on the ROG, and I've tried it on the computer, on the TV, and you barely even notice it. And I would definitely notice it knowing how those games are.
Yeah, and if you are a pro gamer, and you are
right.
trying to compete for thousands of dollars, okay, sure. Just like if you are a singer and you're a professional singer, you're going to go out and make sure you have the best guitar you can afford and the best amp and all that shit. But for 95% of the players, it's more than good enough, and they're not competing it.
But what's funny about that is that if you're a pro gamer and you don't even want to try it, that's bullshit. Because if you're a pro gamer where you love to like you said, like a singer or whatever, you have the best internet already, because that's stuff that they care about.
Yeah.
They already have the gigabyte internet. So if you have a gigabyte internet, you might as well go ahead and try it and then see how it goes. But I'm telling you, that latency is very
right. And we got this guy, Judge Dredd. This is what you guys don't understand. He says it doesn't work in every country. The world doesn't revolve around America. Yes, we know. I'm aware, Judge Dredd. What I'm saying though is there are a lot of countries that have better internet infrastructure than we have.
That's exactly what I was saying.
But it is again, and no one, unless they're idiots, are saying that right now this is ready for critical mass. What we're saying is it's getting better and better, and if you have a situation like we do, which is not some kind of richy rich, super rare situation, it's magic. And eventually you'll be in that situation when your internet gets better, and you'll be like, holy shit.
I was mind blown. I think it's way better than xCloud, the Xbox one.
Yeah, it's weird how they're different. I mean, I don't know where the code comes from. Like Stadia was always good. Luna's really good.
Stadia was good.
But GeForce Now is so far the best that's out there.
Yeah.
All
right, last one.
On
Discord.
Yeah.
You gotta stop ignoring me on Discord. I'd be saying
I don't ignore anybody on Discord. What did you send me last?
I sent you a video. I don't know if
about Laura Croft and the AI.
Yeah, I felt like you already spoke about it.
No, let me explain something. This is I'm gonna take you. If you're looking at your screen, this is today's show. At the top, all the tabs, right? I very rarely, if ever, get through all of them, right? At the back.
I saw at one point
At the back.
Oh, look, there you go.
That's exactly right. And here's why I didn't want to talk about it yet, because what he did, which is amazing, is he broke up this into a number of different videos, right? So he's got the whole hour one, but then he breaks it up into the individual chapters. And I'm like, I don't fully understand quite what I'm looking at yet, so I wasn't ready to talk about it yet. I assure you, I read everything. And if I don't respond, it's because I'm too bored to respond.
No.
Because you know what? If people on the Discord understood my ADD and they just knew if I respond with an X or a smiley face, or maybe I'll make a little emoji thing, it's like what that means is Jaffe saw it, he appreciates it, he likes it. But for me to stop and go, especially because I have all these monitors, I got to go. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses. I got to go over there, drag that, bring it to the center.
You're like Lester from GTA.
I don't know anything about
GTA
that.
5.
I never got that far. But yeah, and then I got to be like, oh, hey, thanks for this. I watched this, and I'm just, it takes too much time. I'm too busy. But I do appreciate it. Yeah. And I, as you can see, I have watched it. I think it's fascinating. If you don't know what he's talking about and you have the time, I will be talking about this on a future show. But let me just give you guys a link for this. It's a guy.
I don't know about your viewers though, because I feel like a lot of them don't like anything AI.
They don't like anything. But I just popped it up there. What if you're curious? It's a guy who basically made an AI. He trained it by playing Tomb Raider 3 or whatever, and
I think all 3 of them.
And he explained the character to the AI and blah, 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 blah. And now you can watch as it plays through the entire game of Tomb Raider 3. But it's not just that it can play through it like, well, I mean, it's amazing to see it make no mistakes, because it's like, well, unlike a player, it goes, well, I can't make that jump. I'm not even going to try. So like every platforming scenario is pretty much, it nails it. But the more interesting part is she's commenting on things that were never written in the game in Laura's voice. So she'll be like walking around and she'll be hearing the soundtrack of the insects, and she'll be like, she says like, why, this is so weird. I hear all these insects, but I don't see any of them. Yeah. Or she'll hear like sounds when she discovers a secret. And she's like, what's wrong with me? Why do I keep hearing that chime in my head? Like, she's literally responding like a real human would respond to if they woke up and they were living in a video game, but they didn't know what a video game was. It is really fucking cool. And if you want to see that, I just linked it. Watch it. We'll talk about it on a future show in the next couple days. Meantime, thank you for the call, Masochist. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. No problem.
Maybe we'll see you tomorrow on the show on the I Love the Weird.
Definitely.
All right, man. Yeah. See you, dude. All right, so don't forget tomorrow, my good friends. We do have I Love the Weird is coming up. There he is. Master Luke made that for. It's coming up 5:00 tomorrow. We're going to be talking about some new UFO stuff, some serial killer stuff. We're going to be talking about a study that a bunch of psychologists did, that they tracked about 400 psychopaths in the movies. And they came up with a list of the top 10 that were the most accurate depictions of people who actually might be a serial killer. So we're going to get into some serial killer stuff. We haven't talked about, Freak of the Weeks for a while. We're talking about the alien news. There's always alien news. We got some ghost stuff in there. It's going to be fun. In the meantime, though, thank you for watching today's show. Rob the Mod, thank you. I don't know if I think it's on RPG. Thank you. I will be playing Mina. If I stream tonight, I'll be playing #Blood. And then, there's a podcast. If you want to hear this stuff while you're out in the world, you can find that over on the Patreon. You don't have to pay for it. You can pay. You can get some extra goodies. But if you just want to be on the Patreon for free, that's how you can link all the podcast shows. I Love the Weird and Gabbing and Games. Okay. That's the show. I'm tired. I'm fried, but I had a good time. I hope you had a good time too. We're going to wrap it up with the brand new song from my new favorite band, Lawrence, What You Want. And of course, if you're not listening live, you'll never hear it because I'm going to cut it out. Be well, be safe. Have a great weekend. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you hopefully Monday at 5:00 for Gabbing and Games. All right, folks. Bye.